Oh, heck yeah, buddy.
We are live. Oh, I forgot to do the ward radio music.
It's gonna be the best day ever.
I unplugged my earphones. God damn it. Does this work when my earphones are out?
I hear you just fine.
No. I unplugged my earphones. I was wondering if it still worked when they came out.
Are you ready?
Best day ever.
We found out today there was a, wait for it, fossilized turd found in southern Michigan, which where Rod Meldrum says is the narrow strait of land.
Totally radical. Oh, my mind is blowing. Those savages. Yay. Oops, that's not time for that. So I gave a challenge to the world to not be stupid for a week.
Oh,
and when I counted up all the stories, there's almost too much stupid to cover.
It didn't fucking work.
Codified stupid out there. I didn't get evil apostate to promise to come on to this thing. Who knows? You never know who will show up or not. But
I know, I saw that. I was like, am I gonna be fucking roasted again? I can't take it. I've been called a bigot like 13 times today already, so I don't know how much more roasting I can take.
Wow, you're under the limit. You're under your average.
Yeah, well, it all happened in like the last 20 minutes. I was informed.
The evil apostate's been on here before. If you weren't around back then, you can go back and dig it up. I've been meaning to clip stuff out. There's this whole AI thing to start doing clips and clip stuff out. The white menaces. I got a couple black menaces clipped, but I guess you gave me one of them, but I have some actual ones from them and they're just so bleh. But what was I going to talk about? The reason I put that up is because everything this week is talking about how everybody's got their own little apostate world of something. So that I've just put up that people are evil apostates with their own a la carte Mormonism everywhere is the claim, I think, everywhere. Because we listen to Kwaku talk with Carah. We listen to Bokovoy. We listen to, McClellan's always in there. We heard Carah's version of everything. And I don't know, I was just thinking, Forrest made a post on Thoughtful Saints about why is Julie Hanks's weird stuff considered Mormon and everybody else's stuff is not or anti-Mormon or not Mormon, but Kwaku's isn't when he's totally off the rails.
Kwaku's just better at this.
The things that happened around the time when I was talking. I put a Leyland up on the channel and Kwaku popped in when we were talking to Leyland. And one of the things I was exploring with all that, Michelle Stone. Michelle Stone is part of it. And we were just into some Michelle Stone stuff today that just popped up out of nowhere too. But the reason I was talking to Kwaku and Leyland is I was trying to dig out what their different Gnostic beliefs that they've added into Mormonism are, because they're kind of just different like online personas who express having different levels of secret knowledge on this stuff. And I was trying to show it out. I wasn't trying to argue with them with this stuff. I was trying to show what those types of things are. But some of those people, I don't know that Leyland directly, but some of Forrest said people don't call out Kwaku on his apostatism, but people like Guadamax and Leyland do, and they have been for a long time on Twitter. But then they also have their own little like esoteric beliefs. So that's kind of the stuff I was exploring with all of them. And I was doing it. I was trying to not be a John DeLynn on Rod Meldrum and just like attack him, like what? I just I'm like put out what their beliefs are out there, and all of it was just kind of like looking at what are all these different kind of Mormon spinoffs that are coming out of everybody. Well, if we listen on Larry Lobsters, every single person on there has got their own different little universe they've created up. Yeah. And we were talking this week a little bit about how I went to church again this week. Hot diggity do. And I was whining once again at how boring and plain it was. But then I also know that you can't not do that. You can't not do that, or it'll just turn into all this.
Yeah, I know. It's
exactly.
It's such a terrible conundrum. It can either
Yeah.
There's
it
no
can
way to
either
make
be
it
dull as
interesting without it
shit.
turning into. You'd have Kwaku
It can either
running
be
off,
guys
Michelle
getting up
Stone
there
running
saying
off.
like, "What does it mean? What does it mean to be a child of God?" Or it can be like, "Let's talk about multiple earthly probations." Like, what do you
Yeah.
talk? There's scriptural support for it, dude. I don't care.
There's no way to do it. I was saying, like, if I got put in charge of this stuff and said, okay, now we're free to talk about more interesting stuff and not just this really boring codified stuff, it would turn into wackadoo esotericism faster than you could blink an eye. You know, I'd break the toy. I'd break the toy if I was put in charge of it.
I know. I have this disease where I can't handle being bored, I've realized. And we went to Morgan's friend got baptized into the Greek Orthodox Church. So I'd never been, and we went to a Greek Orthodox baptism. And I mean, it was cool. The building was over 100 years old, and they had a bunch of art that was cool. But it was all very ritualistic, right? And I was like, yeah, if this ritual could like mean something, maybe it'd be cool. But it's also just, how could you do this every week? Like,
Yeah.
it's cooler looking than the Mormon, because the Mormon church looks so business-like. It's like that great J.J. McCullough video about pre-modernism, modernism, and postmodernism.
Mhm.
If you had churches, then the Mormon church would be smack dab in the middle as the modernism church. It's just purely practical looking. It's not ornamental. It's just drab.
No, like the nicest they look is about like a Ramada Inn.
Yeah.
Like
It's completely function over form, which
yeah.
I usually go for that, but I guess
There's like
maybe
what are there
you're
like
kind of ornamental.
6 paintings? There's like 6 approved paintings
Yeah.
that you can put up in foyers.
Risa says the Orthodox services are also more beautiful. I sent him a picture of like the backdrop of the Mormon church, and I thought it was just kind of funny how it's just like framed blank wall, and I thought that was a pretty goofy. But there was some stuff coming up this week that they were trying to like archive different or get rid of some of the inner artwork that was a part of the Manti Temple and all that stuff, and they decided to keep it or something like that. And RFM and those guys were complaining about it, but then they said it was okay to stay back in because it was a female artist. And I was talking about, we know somebody who listens to this channel who gets asked to or commissioned to make different art for some of that stuff, although he's never really fully done it because you have to be subject to criticism from the elders. So like if you make Jesus and you send in your artwork, he'll say, I want Jesus to smile more, make him happy, Jesus. And you have to change it if you want your thing submitted. But they don't normally allow or do landscape stuff anymore, which I think is smart because I don't know if you guys saw, but landscape art is fascism. But,
It is.
Landscape art is fascism, huh?
yeah, I got it right here. Here it is. I shared it earlier. Present, share screen. Already off to the screen sharing. Here it is. British countryside can evoke dark nationalist feelings in paintings, warns music.
These are the people that call me a conspiracy theorist. I was seriously informed today that the only reason that people think that sex is like human sex is dimorphic is because of like colonialism wanted us to it was like a colonialist conspiracy to like take over all these like noble savage lands where they all understood that sex is just this enormous spectrum. And I was like, how am I a conspiracy theorist? And you believe that like somebody was like, we can't have people believing in truth, so we need to kill them.
This is a commenter says, hey, I know what you're talking about. I'm not saying it's the same guy or anything, but you should check out some of the art done by Kimball Geisler in the world to see some good art. It might have some ideas about that stuff, but they should put more landscape art into stuff. There's Kevin Joel. I'm going to introduce landscape artist that has his art in Saratoga Temple this coming Sabbath, Chris. Oh, really? Ooh. Yeah. Well, there you go. But they should have it on the back wall. Like the back wall of the thing is just like this big white back wall. I remember I was going to Catholic church and I got super boring there too, but I got to just look at all these weird murals and wonder what the heck they all were all this time.
Oh
That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
that Greek Orthodox church just had saints every. There wasn't like an inch of the wall that wasn't painted on.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, you couldn't not just keep it simple and not have church get into whatever on earth Kwaku said his Mormonism was on.
Yeah. Nuance ho.
Yeah, on Nuance Ho, which I don't know if you guys could even try to regurgitate it, which I guess he talked with us a little bit about some of it here, but the week started off with Michelle Stone and her getting really mad at Steve Pinecker. I told Steve that we were maybe even going to talk about it, and she just went unhinged at him because he posted some video with Brian Hells criticizing her, which we didn't get to watch at first because she complained, and then he had to take it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then after he took it down, she complained that he took it down. And then made this long video about how he's a sexophobe. And
oh yeah, she calls on the hurting women thing constantly.
Yeah. So she got around to crying and stuff again and said he's a sexophobe. And I honestly don't know how anybody could talk with that lady in good faith and not have it turn out that unless you just agree with her all the way, you
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, did you see the one that started their beef, the Brian Hales on her podcast?
No.
So it was a while back. He went on her podcast and like he is like passive aggressive. You can tell what conclusion he wants you to draw. He wants you to draw the conclusion that she should be church disciplined for spreading her views or whatever. It's obvious that that's what, but he always tries to be like, well, I'm saying anyone's subject to that, even me. And I'm like, just come out and say it. Don't be a little passive
Don't beat around the bush.
You know, like she's actually teaching that she's saying that your second, third, and fourth prophets all did a thing that your first prophet said was just abominable and terrible. And then every prophet since then has lied about it or been wrong about it. Like, I don't understand how how you could possibly be shocked when somebody's like, well, maybe we should kick her out of our club for saying all of this shitty stuff about our club.
Yeah. So anyway, she posted this one today. Unplanned bonus episode, evidence of conspiracy. Clark abode. And I don't know how Brian Hales is wrong necessarily because I think this guy here is a guy who's totally bought into the Who Killed Joseph Smith movie, and everything is all of polygamy was Brigham Young, John Taylor, who were the other names you said around there?
Willard Richards,
and different people.
So Willard Richards was
framed. They both murdered Joseph Smith and framed him as a polygamist when he never ever really was.
He would never do that.
And I know that these guys, like the people who made that movie, got excommunicated. So
did they?
Yeah.
For the movie?
Made the Who Killed Joseph Smith movie.
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean,
I didn't follow that closely. I'm surprised.
I want to watch it, but they're accusing Brigham Young of killing Joseph Smith. So I don't know how you. Of course, you get kicked.
How could you not say like the Brighamite? Yeah. There's all sorts of people. That's the guy who Jacob Hansen's wrestling in 2 weeks. Is a guy who left the church because he said the Brighamite line is a lie, and all this murder and stuff happened, and Joseph Smith was never ever a polygamist, and that was all a framing by this Brighamite church that's completely in apostasy. So he gives like a lot of caveats, like, well, I'm just studying, I'm just researching all this stuff, but it's absolutely what she means, and other people are getting X'd for it. So,
it's just all I ever think of is that wonderful Richard Dawkins, Wendy Wright debate where he kept saying, well, like evolution happened, and she keeps saying, well, point us to the evidence. And he's like, well, we have evidence right here. And she's like, I'm saying teach the controversy. She had like exactly 2 lines to respond to. And that's what Michelle does. Her one line that she responds with is tears. And then the other is, this is so hurtful to women.
So I've been binge watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I keep finding things that are paralleling the real life. Here's this redheaded lady on Curb Your Enthusiasm who's a professional crier. It just seems so much like her. There's Michelle Stone.
He's trying to outcry her.
Yeah. And it comes out later that her job is to be a professional crier. But yeah, that stuff keeps paralleling the real world for me somehow. But I don't know. She would get upset and angry and furious at us just for suggesting that, like, they're not out of bounds, for saying that maybe you shouldn't be part of that LDS Inc. thing, which kind of brings up Kwaku and Forrest challenging Kwaku on that stuff, because Forrest put up a post and Kwaku just answered. You guys see Kwaku's answer?
To Forrest?
No, yeah, he made a post answering it. I got it right. Hell.
Right.
No, I got too much stuff, dude. Where did it go? I've got that many things.
There's a lot of things, man.
Holy crap, man!
The
Gotta
world
slow
is
down on the things.
I know.
They
The
were
world
supposed
is
to
a
not be dumb
stupid
this
place.
week, man. This is Kwaku's post about it. In response to Nuance whole video, also Forrest a la Forrest Hansen, seems interesting that ex-LDS are demanding I have more theological loyalty to the current doctrine as taught in manuals and church curriculum than the active LDS. More so, the heretical claims I talked about aren't even heretical. Identifying as Mormon first LDS is extremely common in the church. That's why I said snuff rights and DOC people exist. Testimony of the restored gospel goes before testimony of the LDS church. This isn't a rare. Somebody else read that. You see it? This isn't.
Are we popcorning? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, where'd you leave off?
End of the second paragraph. I'm going.
Okay. This isn't a rare invention, but it helps to answer questions/errors of the church itself. This is where many ex-Mormons commenting on the video and in this group fall short. If you are so steeped in label consciousness and have refused to accept a world in which there is Mormonism that exists independent of the LDS Church, then you can't have a conversation on Mormon doctrine that doesn't rely upon your anger toward the church. It seemed hard for Carah to grasp that, but I'm telling you all right now, it is the future of testimony in the church. Second, heretical belief is that I affirmed magic and a magical worldview for Joseph Smith. That is necessary. There's no point in discussing seer stone with someone who rejects metaphysical, esoteric, or magical framework for reality. It's the equivalent of discussing Justin Trudeau's policies with somebody who doesn't believe Canada exists. There's no point.
I'm going to go to the next one. I got... oh, dang it. Did I not have the rest of it there? I guess that's all of it.
All in all, it was a successful conversation for people who want to hear dialogue and not for internet something squatting and staring at a religious WWE match for outside the ring, caring more about debate points than actual understanding of this complex reality we all call the gospel.
So, I don't know. What do you remember about this conversation with Carah?
I listened to, I think I got through 45 minutes of it. I just never.
So I listened to that whole thing, and I mean, I don't know, the weird esoteric stuff that, fine, I guess, but I don't know how he could possibly be shocked. He's saying he talks about things that just don't exist anywhere in Mormon doctrine. He talks about the reincarnation, basically. He believes in reincarnation. They're gonna think he's fucking weird. That's just the case, and it damn near blasphemous, probably. I don't know, but I don't really care. But the other thing, the part that really got me of the Kwaku Carah debate was, he straight up, I think he was lying when he was talking about sexuality, because he tries to bring up that Mormons are generally sexually repressed. And I think that is the case. That's something the Mormon church does not do very well. They might be better at it now, but they're bad at talking about sex and preparing kids. They're really bad at it. And she brings that up. It's one of the few things I agree with Nuance Ho on. And then all of a sudden, he's like, I don't see any evidence that Mormons are sexually repressed. There's a lot of swinging going on in Utah. He's like talking about all this, like, it's funny because he names up all this disordered, degenerate sexual behavior as like, see, we're sexually liberated here. And she brings up the good point, which is what I would have asked him. Okay, but like, do you think those people that go swinging, do you think they feel okay about that? Like, do you not think they probably feel a lot of guilt? He's like, oh no, they don't. I talk to them and stuff. They don't feel guilt. And 9 out of 10 kids out there, I know they're not virgins before they get married. And she's like, yeah, but don't they feel guilty about it? No, they don't feel guilty. I'm like, quick, you're actually just lying.
Yeah,
I don't think
that's silly.
that doesn't resemble Mormonism at all. And I think you know that.
Well, he said every one of his friends around. I know some of this is true, but I don't think anybody feels good about it. But he says like most of his friends just run around having whatever premarital sex, and then as soon as they want to clean it up a couple months before getting married, they go clean it up a couple months, and that's Mormons. And I know that people messed up when we were young, but they didn't feel good and fine about it. I mean, they beat the crap out of themselves for it.
Yeah.
Mormon first, LDS second, Risto's right, esotericist first, progressive second, Mormon third. Before the Crow's Nest, Christopher released his Mormon story on this, and he admits to like adding esotericism to religiosity stuff, but he's just out in the open with it, and he's felt for a long time that like he could talk to Kwaku and kind of flesh that stuff out better with him. But Kwaku's always kind of playing hide the ball with it because it's sort of hide the ball, but he gets more and more playing with it. He was kind of more playing there with Carah about it, and he's been playing on some of his videos that he's talking about this kind of Gnostic, all religions are one religion type thing.
It all feels pretty. It all feels pretty. I don't know, because some of it's stuff that can appeal to any Mormon, right? Because if you say that, I believe that like we're all God's children, or we're all working toward, and you can get to His enlightenment through different religions. You can get close. I think most Mormons would probably be like, yeah, I think you can, if you're raised your whole life a Catholic, you can still be a good person, and Catholicism can help you on your road or whatever, even though it's not the true church. That would be like the caveat. But he kind of hides it in things like that. But I see Kwaku being a politician at some point in the future. Like he seems to really like dodging the difficult questions. I think that's what he was doing with Carah.
Well, we've long believed that Dan McClellan only holds on to the Mormon moniker for his religion or his political aspirations himself. But who knows? That's questioning the heart of somebody. Risto's correct that it might be a difference in generations, although I thought most people were saying the Zoomers were having less of the sex, but maybe there's just less of the guilt around the sex or something like that.
I don't know. How old is Kwaku?
Well, that's the thing. He says he doesn't know.
He says what?
You haven't heard all that?
Yeah, it says
Kwaku was born in some like cult in Texas and never had his birth certificate.
Okay.
And the differences in the amount of years that might be between what he was when he was born or not is like a 4-year difference. And then they think he might have only been like 15 when he was a freshman at BYU. Although that's one of the things that Guadamax wanted to take him to task on, but was never able to. But that's something they've always kind of generally maintained. But he's still under 30, supposedly, probably like getting up there to it. But
he's not much younger than I am.
This is the deal, because like he's kind of like telling us, the ex-Mormons, because we do take interest in all these types of things for sure. Why do you care? Although I don't think we really care in the sense of you better do this, you better do that. We're just trying to like sort stuff out. We're trying to categorize stuff, man. We're trying to figure it out. But I don't care. I don't care that he's Gnostic or has those Gnostic beliefs. But one of the things I've always appreciated about both Jacob Hansen and Dan Ellsworth is that they do kind of preach, have an online persona that I think tries to toe the line and make sense of LDS Inc., if that makes sense. Like Jacob, beyond saying stuff that they would say, don't be so mean or harsh. Beyond that, I don't think there's anything he ever says that they would actually say he's getting wrong about mainstream LDS belief.
The closest he comes is his current obsession this week is with what does he call it? I
Yeah,
can't remember what
talking
he
about like
calls it.
predeterminism.
Yeah, they're trying to like he's trying to say that
Preterminism?
God doesn't actually see the future, basically.
Yeah,
Man.
everybody's talking about if God knows
Open
that you're going to do
theism, that's what
something,
he's
is everything
calling it.
determined.
Oh,
Yeah.
that thing. Yeah, I don't know. Like, 'cause that stuff is just like, I don't know. I feel bad for him. Like you don't
Well,
have to
no,
try. You don't
the
have
thing
to
is,
rescue this crap.
it's
But he
this,
really
yeah.
does. Feels like he needs to.
Well, it's
Open
there's this
theism.
Mormon, yeah, he calls it open theism. There's this Mormon. I noticed this with Mormons, because I did it a lot. There's like this desire to sort of make everything copacetic, and as long as you're not saying anything that is like directly against the church, if you're a mainstream Mormon, you can kind of make up your own doctrine in your head and act like sort of a confirmation bias thing of like, I know that we have free will, therefore, whatever branch of theism works with my free will, I have to come up with this whole okay, so therefore, open theism, God doesn't know the future. He got a pretty good guess because he's smart or whatever. I don't know. It's because they do the same thing with I mean, I remember this girl telling her conversion therapy, like actual conversion therapy story where she was told she was going to go to outer darkness because she's gay, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sure my parents will be sad. And like, can they be sad in the celestial kingdom?" And the family told them, "Oh no, a copy will be made of you and put in the celestial kingdom with your parents because yeah, and they won't know that it's a copy. They'll have like their minds are like they're adding
Oh.
in." So they're filling in so many dots, taking
So even if they
many
become all-knowing
creative liberties.
gods, they
Yeah,
won't realize that you were cloned.
But that's a thing that Mormons do that I always did as a Mormon, trying to sort of like, you're right, that sounds unjust. Therefore, let me fill in the blanks, the gap here with something just.
It was one of my first shelf things as a very tiny little boy. I was very upset about that with my parents because I remember in my mind, my mom wasn't doing good enough to be the celestial kingdom, and not because of anything sort of major. She just kind of missed a lot of church for health reasons. And I remember being a little kid and crying to her about that, but her telling me, well, the celestial people can visit anybody else in the lower kingdoms. That's just how they justified it. But I don't know.
That's when I've heard before a lot, but I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it's actual Mormon doctrine. It doesn't conflict with Mormon doctrine, so I'm sure people just told other people that to comfort them.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think Jacob, even if he's trying to make weird sense of that stuff, none of it would be something besides being mean online that the church elders would look at askew. Whereas I think if they sat and listened to Kwaku, they'd say, no, you're out of step with the church.
Kwaku has specific things that actually go against doctrine of the church, because like the whole reincarnation thing that actually goes against doctrine of the church.
Well, and
because
he also
when I was a
said
kid, I remember I had the same question as Jacob did with the whole like, oh wait, if God knows everything, I don't have free will. And it was like, but I do have free will, so I guess God doesn't know everything. So I just sort of came to the conclusion when I was like a teenager, I was like, I guess he doesn't know the future.
He also stands by the LDS Inc. is ran by men, and those men are products of their time, which is U.S. boomerism. And their U.S. boomerism is what creates their conservative viewpoints, and it will die with them. And he doesn't have to align with it, and all sorts of people don't have to listen to those old boomers who are probably going to die and get their full religious beliefs from that. It basically says LDS Inc. you don't have to align yourself with at all to stay or be Mormon or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think you could really actually say that. I mean, it used to be that if you talked like that, you'd probably get X'd or something. But Michelle Stone and how she's talking, I think she easily could get X, especially like having a channel talking about that stuff so much. She gets very upset at Brian Hales. But if you ask me, if they turned their eyes and looked at that "Who Really Killed Joseph Smith" video and X that guy for it, if they really stop and looked at her, she might get in trouble, you know.
Yeah, she'll cry her way out of an excommunication.
That's right. I forget the power of female tears. They're so powerful. I have a lot of personal stories about that, not to do with me recently, but I can't talk about it because I can't talk about it. But yeah, the power of tears, man. But of course, the leftists always say white women's tears are what gets men killed. It's what got what's his name, Elliot, whatever, killed. But I don't know. That came up in Alyssa's leaving the Mormonism story, that she taught the story of that Emmett Till.
Oh, Emmett Till.
Emmett Till to some kids in Provo, and the kids in Provo didn't take it seriously, and that was one of her big shelf breakers because all those kids aren't very Christ-like or something. But
I think the shelf breaks on its own. I really do. I think like the shelf is already breaking, and the mind searches for justifications to break that shelf at that point. Like I think she was already gone, right?
So Bokovoy talked about how his higher, what do they call it? Higher criticism beliefs in the Bible made it so he couldn't get into BYU and stuff. It never got him X, but it got his the person he studied under, that Wright dude, got him X. He was one of the September 6th, and he studied under that guy. And Dan comes from that same school stuff. Oh, Dan McKinnon. And I don't know how back in the day, if back in that same time frame, if LDS Inc. was listening closely to Dan, they wouldn't X him too. But I don't know. They're getting away from Xing people nowadays more and more and more. But
yeah, they're wimps. I was waiting for them to excommunicate Tyler Glenn. I didn't think they would, because that's a PR nightmare. But I'm like, I don't know how you can justify getting not excommunicating it, because some of the people you've excommunicated have done less than, make a music video for millions of people to see where they spit on your prophet and show the secret handshakes that they're supposed to not show ever.
So Forrest's point that he made, I don't have that, but that's what Kwaku was answering, is he made a point of like, I don't see how people on Thoughtful Faith can get upset at Julie Hanks's different takes of Mormonism, or somebody like, what's her name, Osler, those different people who talk about queering Mormonism, but then listen to Kwaku's takes and think that that's all perfectly fine and they up and up. Although I did say that there were those types on Twitter who had been going after Kwaku for that stuff for a long time. And one of my contentions, or their contentions, is that some of that stuff that he learned from them, because they talked about the theosophy type stuff, but then he'd turn around and smear them as desnats or whatever, and people that shouldn't be listened to, because then they'd start talking about him not realigning with Russell M very well. And not that those guys were angels or anything. They definitely did say, well, some of them, like a small few of them, said really shitty things to Kwaku. But here's the kicker with all that. Anytime you saw somebody saying something really racist to Kwaku, if you look into it, it was almost always a Polynesian. Not almost, it was.
Yeah.
The racist people were Polynesian people.
Pretty
typical white supremacist.
Yeah, it's called the white supremacy. But I don't know.
The brown face of white supremacy.
Forrest isn't wrong. Like, why can there be any sort of weird Gnostic beliefs get pounded out online from all sorts of different people, but like only some of them are heretical or something like that? But
Kwaku is good PR, I guess. Well, he's not good PR, but I don't know. I guess they scrubbed him from all those thumbnails, so maybe he's not. You don't like him that much.
Yeah. So then you come back all the way around to my frustrations with boring old church, and I know it can't be different. It cannot be different. Like, there's no way. There's no way to keep a big group together and get into all the esotericism in the world. But
yeah, I had that. It feels a lot like sometimes I want to know. There's got to be a name for this conundrum, because what was it? We had this discussion a while back about where I came to the realization that you can either be like an irritating sophist or I can't remember what the other option was.
Those are all the options.
Yeah,
it's different types though. Sophist on one side, sophist on another. Charles said that he served in the Tongan ward on his mission, and every one of those mofos would get canceled today based on some of the stuff they'd say.
Who said that?
Charles.
Oh.
Charles, you made a comment on our last video I wanted to bring up. What was that about? It was about Oh, I can't remember. I'll pull it up. But anyway, oh, what was I getting at? Looking at Mormons who should be gosh. So I don't know if you even remember this week because so much stuff's already happened. They also announced that Jeffrey R. Holland's talk is going to need to be read by every incoming freshman at BYU, the Musket talk. And RFM and Bill brought up Guatemaxing muskets and all that stuff.
Yeah, I heard that.
And then Bill did his his journalism, his
Oh Jesus.
what do you call it? He's being a gumshoe. He's being an investigative journalist, and they did a whole episode on that guy.
Back to you, Rebecca. Shut up, you.
The
nerd.
groundbreaking.
Did he really?
He actually did. Yeah,
Did
it
he
was a
really give it
pre-recorded.
back to-
It was a pre-recorded thing too. It was like all three of them sitting there on screen, and then they switched to the pre-recorded thing. She says, "Take it away, Bill," and they do the pre-recorded thing, and he does this reporting, and then in the pre-recorded thing, he says, "And back to you, Rebecca." And she
I like how they
switches back to her, and she's like, "Thanks, Bill."
I like how they announced in the start that it's a groundbreaking new news program. Like ex-Mormons talking about Mormonism is a groundbreaking new news program.
Unprecedented.
Unprecedented. But then they did like a whole episode on that Kevin Alexander dude. Is that his name? Darush. He had a different name. And that whole episode was, that guy's kind of gotten like a popular following on YouTube. And he's already been David. Did I say Kevin? Oh, why did I say Kevin? Oh, I knew it. Oh, that's my bad. I said somebody who I know who's not anything to do with this at all. But David Alexander, who also went by David Darush, I think, in his old, he was part of what was it called? The cult he came from.
I don't remember what it's called, but
he'd been announcing, he's been on Word Radio. They did 2-3 episodes with him about being an ex-evangelical pastor who is now converted to Mormonism, and that's why his channel's blowing up and getting all big. And then it turns out that he comes from a cult, the 12 tribes, Rista's on it. They talked about how those that 12 tribes cult had all sorts of weird, naughty beliefs, like they had naughty race beliefs and stuff like that. And then
racist, sexist, homophobic. Like it's the grand, it's the holy trinity. You cannot just say racist.
And then they advocated whipping children, and then he was part of of a person who helped like write some manual on whipping children. And Bill wanted to point out that he was doing a favor for Mormonism to say, watch out for this guy who's coming from another cult. But
yeah, shut the fuck up, Bill.
Well, I agreed. Like I thought this too when Jared said it. It's like we must watch for any person who comes from a cult previously to come to your thing that they're a problem person. So that doesn't, if you guys believe Mormonism was a cult, doesn't that rule all of us out?
Yeah, I know. I was like, this whole thing feels like they didn't really talk much about the actual guy. They said he was in this weird cult, and then they talked about the cult for like 2 hours. They said a little bit about the guy, but they mostly just talked about the weird cult. And I was like, Bill, didn't you come from a weird cult as you describe it? Who should trust you?
Yeah.
And
but
the guy does seem kind of weird.
Risa says he agrees to like keep an eye on it, dude. I'd keep an eye on the dude too. I mean, it does seem like he's coming in for ulterior motives, if you ask me. But I had no idea when he was on. I listened to those Midnight Mormon ones that he was on, just random evangelical who's now converted, and I had no idea that he came from some sort of weird cult, not just random evangelical pastor. It's weird. I mean, it's goofy, but I don't know. Bill and his investigative journalism lately has been.
I love it. He can't really do anything like cohesive. It's almost when RFM does something like that, it's almost charming because he's like a charming dorky guy. Bill is just awkward and dopey and self-aggrandizing. Although
He goes hard after stuff.
Point out his IQ lately.
147. I've said that. Listen to that number all the time. It's the same number that Owen Benjamin says he has. And anybody who brags about their IQ, it's always 147 number. There must have been like some sort of like random test when people were kids who just like gave everybody 147.
Yeah, there's like some study where they're like, we want to know what happens if we convince a bunch of midwits that they're smart.
We're all 147s, dudes.
I know.
The thing that
Did I tell you my thing with IQ?
uh-uh.
Like, I never, ever, ever want to take an IQ test, and it's because I'm terrified to find out that I'm a midwit. Like, if I took an IQ test and it was anywhere above 120 or below 90, I'd be fine. Like,
You'd be fine if
that's
it's about 85.
Yeah, if I'm at the top of the bell curve, I will kill myself.
I love that video that came out of that one. I think it was a Jubilee video where they talked to a bunch of different people who,
Oh,
one was a Marine, one
that
was
was
a
beautiful
PhD
karma. Like, that
thing,
was
and
real life karma.
Yeah, and the PhD girl came out as the absolute kind of lowest, like midwit, like 110ish, and all the rest of them came out higher, and the Marine came out way higher than her and stuff like that.
He was like number 3, and she was dead last. It was the
Yeah.
funniest shit ever. And she's such a smarmy asshole about it too. She's like, no offense, I'd put you as the dumbest. And
She was
number 2, I don't know, PhD. I worked in a COVID lab.
Yeah.
Way to fuck it up.
But then, of course, they all picked up on the thing that we caught right at the end of last show, because he just barely posted it, about that guy using his stage name to give testimonies, and everybody a lot of ex-Mormons pushed back on him, like, what are you talking about here, Bill? Nobody gives a crap about this.
Well, that is the funny part. I actually did. I think I sent it. I looked at the post history because I was like, I bet he backpedaled this, because
He did.
All of his statements were like, oh, it's not that he's using a pseudonym. It's that he's using a pseudonym to get paid, and it's his testimony. Like, he had this whole thing worked out. And so I looked at the edit history, and yeah, sure enough, the first iteration of the post was just, did you know his actual name is blah? So it was funny, because that was my prediction. My prediction was Bill just genuinely didn't know that actors go by pseudonyms often, and because there's a lot of weird stuff that he doesn't know that you would think an adult would know. and
Michael J. Fox, nothing he's ever said.
Yeah,
that's not his name. All right.
Vin Diesel, Tom Cruise, like all of them.
Yeah.
But
Jon Stewart, I guess Jon Stewart's out. He's John Leibowitz.
Yeah. He becomes Leibowitz anytime he doesn't want to be white.
Yeah, it was.
No, but I predicted that was Bill Reel. Somebody pointed out to him that no, actors always use pseudonyms. He got embarrassed, and he's like, well, I can't just be like, oops. And so he tripled down on some bullshit post hoc rationalization.
It seems like, though, he's kind of like trying to like rebrand himself like a hardcore investigative journalist, because like between that and then going after that that guy who used his name Elder on the conservative, it was like some conservative rally or something like that. But Charles says flip there, he's jealous of your kitty.
Oh, she's jealous that I haven't fed her yet. I need to do that.
Yeah. Anyway, this was also the week, all the way back maybe to the startish of the week, of the ultimate midwittery, the bloodbath.
Oh, God.
I listened to my brother and my dad talk for 2 days about the dictator comment. And they're just like, this is unprecedented. We've never had anybody, and who does this and all stuff. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, I just know it's bullshit. I just know it's bullshit. And then I actually finally listened to the dictator comment. And I was like, it makes me so angry, because it's like, okay, anybody who listened to this and then turned around and reported it seriously is a propagandistic liar. It's so obvious that he's satirizing somebody who called him a dictator. It's so obvious that he's doing that. But like, we all have to pretend that it's something else. And then like, same thing with the bloodbath. I finally listened to the bloodbath comment. I'm like, you guys have to be kidding me. But sorry, go on.
I listened to the bloodbath comment. I actually heard it before the media got a hold of it, because like right before the media got a hold of it, I think Elon Musk retweeted somebody who said, just pay attention, you're about to witness the start of the bloodbath hoax. So I watched the whole thing, and then I was like, okay, they're definitely going to run with this. And of course they did.
Yeah. I saw Charles's comment on last week that he was just reiterating that he goes to church and tries to make the best of it, but he just finds it so dull too.
Yeah.
But what you gonna do? It looks like Midnight or the Ward Radios. Oh, I almost dead named them. Are streaming live right now. Insanity update. I wonder what that's about.
Oh,
Kwaku's
RFM is in the
insanity?
middle of his. RFM is in the middle of his Gen Camp update right now too.
No,
Oh man,
I
everything's
listened to the whole
happening at
thing.
once.
It got dismissed, and I think the court even kind of lambasted her for not being. I think they actually said she was doing it not in good faith.
Vexatious.
Yeah, this and all. I mean, I'll just pull up the. I can pull it up.
No, that's like a real thing. I mean, I don't know, but like vexatious litigation
That's
is
the term.
that is the thing that you can be adjudged to have done.
Yeah,
It'd be funny if she got prosecuted for something. They're like, okay, nope, you got to pay a fine, lady. You're being insane. That's gaslighting. Women have been called insane for well, you would have lobotomized me in the 20s. No, I want to lobotomize you now.
yeah. Here it is. I'll pull up that moment if I can. Where is man? Present. Share the screen. Jen Camp's lawsuit. Here we go.
Present, share the screen. Jen Camp's lawsuit.
Court may deny a request for leave to amend the pleadings if the amendment is untimely, without justification, would cause prejudice to the parties, is asserted in bad faith, or would otherwise be futile. Denial is appropriate here for all of those reasons, and for the additional procedurally improper to file a motion asking the court to re-rule on issues it has already ruled upon without any legal basis for doing so.
Yeah, it spanked
I
her
love
pretty
bureaucratic snark, when you can. Because you know that person's so fucking tired of hearing from Jen Camp. So he's like, I gotta use legalistic language, but man, I gotta make her feel like shit right now. Like I want her to cry over this. She will.
Anyway, I want to find what McKayen said about the bloodbath.
Did he? Oh, please
yeah,
tell me
he swallowed it wholesale.
Well, because also and you showed that because I remember you called it a few days ago. You said, "Watch, they're going to memory hold the definition of bloodbath as an economic bloodbath," and that happened today, right?
Yep, I have
Google did anyway.
Here's what McClellan said. Right, I woke up to this, because
linguist here. He does exactly what you said he was going to do with the dumbest McClellanism ever. Linguist here.
Linguist here. The context in no way limits the sense of bloodbath, just the consequences for the auto industry. Those consequences are referred to as the least of it. It's not clear that Trump was referring to by bloodbath, but it's clearly not limited to the auto industry.
Oh, good job,
pretty
linguist.
Fucking clear, actually, linguist. It's pretty.
He's talking about other industries. He's talking about jobs, manufacturing jobs in America.
There was this. Alejandro had this great discussion because he posted something in the Lobsters about like he likes that. I think he's becoming more based because he's in all these woke nonsense classes right now, and so he posted this thing about how Holland's Talk is now a required read, and basically said, "Yep, this is the right thing to do." And one of the typical suspects in that group that always says retarded shit started saying retarded shit to him, and like, "Oh, are we okay with him using violent rhetoric against people?" And I had an exchange with the dude. Alejandro had an exchange with the dude, and it just kept saying like, "Okay, do not ever attack ideas anymore. That's violent rhetoric. Do not ever beat your opponent. That's violent rhetoric." Do you understand what's happening here? You can't use any metaphor that is violent in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's Dan just didn't let it go. He just kept doubling down. It says Trump very clearly referred to the consequences. Oh yeah, I'm going cross-eyed again. I stare at the computer too long. Can somebody read that?
Yeah, hang on. what is it? Trump very clearly referred to the consequences for the auto industry as the least of the nationwide bloodbath. I agree his sense was a lot of harm damage, but he also insisted it would extend far beyond the auto industry. There's clearly a stochastic dimension to the warning.
Yeah.
Get fucked, McClellan. Get absolutely fucked. Man, I'm so the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life was think this guy was smart.
What a dweeb.
Like, and I never liked him. My first interaction with him, I got blocked, but I thought
Yeah.
he was at least a smart kind of evil person, but he's a midwit.
Yeah. I posted this on his thing. You're super confident no one in the political or economics has ever spoken this way. But, you know, of course, there was tons of stuff all over about,
Yeah.
you know, people put out videos of everybody using the word endlessly in their own ways.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I got, I'm officially blocked my McClellan on Twitter now.
You are?
What did
Yeah.
it for? What was the final straw?
Oh, I thought I sent it. Somebody was accusing him of, like, pretending to be vague, basically being a hatchling and stuff like that. And he said, I don't do that. And I said, you absolutely do that. And that was it.
And you got blocked
Mm.
forever.
Yeah, I said a little bit more, but that was all the spirit of the thing. I didn't like insult him.
You know what
Crazy.
hatchling thing I experienced recently? Talking to my brother, trying to talk to him about woke shit. And I say, we know that BLM's claims about systemic racism and policing are wrong. And my brother goes, I mean, what hatchling answer do you think comes out of his mouth? And it's more than once. He's done this to me pretty commonly.
It's either that you're victim. No, not victim blaming. I don't know.
Just see, you're trying to be too smart. Who is we?
Hmm.
Who is this we we're talking about when you say we know this? Who is we? Just hatchling. He doesn't know,
Everyone.
like when somebody says, like, oh, you know, we know that the Earth orbits the sun. Who is we? Who is we? Oh, we landed a man on the moon. Who? You? We?
Yeah, just ask a question, man. That's how you convert people. We got a clip on that.
But who's we? Yeah.
Here's Dan looking at evidences right in front of him. There are no lies here. Trump commented that there would be a bloodbath for the whole country and then refers the consequences for automotive industry when he says that'll be the least of it. The bloodbath explicitly goes far beyond the auto industry. Jared found what's his name? George Takei saying some worse crap on that.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Here it is. George Takei whining about it, and then screen. MAGA fans claim Trump's bloodbath threat was taken out of context, and Psaki just shut them down. Next one, here's one where he just used bloodbath. Yeah.
You know what's funny? Like, I like how he says, like, MAGA fans claim this. Like, well, what about me?
Yeah.
I'm not at all in any way, shape, or form a MAGA fan, and I am saying you took it out of context.
Yeah.
Well, now you're a MAGA fan. That's what
Oh.
it means to be a MAGA fan. Isn't that you don't necessarily have to vote Trump, because
Like-
then we would then that would severely limit who we could call MAGAs.
A Democrat has already filled out my voting ballot for me. You are MAGA.
So we saw I posted that definition earlier that says obviously an economic catastrophe. And here it is. We predicted it. I actually thought they'd wait like maybe a month or something to do it.
You know,
but
took them 3
Right
days.
away.
4 days.
They're like,
Right
okay, we got to
away.
get on this because we're going to be saying bloodbath for the next 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Elon Musk pointed out Google is deeply infected with the whole woke mind virus. Holy shit, Google just quietly changed its search results for bloodbath definition. And they removed the economic one. A ruthless slaughter of a great number of people.
What else could he mean?
Yeah.
Well, like, I'm surprised they didn't add, like, normally committed by white people.
It took them 4 days to do it now. So, but Trump's the 1984 guy. It's so out of control. But I mean, I can't believe Dan just keeps like daring to double down into it. Like, I just like one time want to see him not take the absolute party line. Charles says the same thing here. Says, doing this kind of critical analysis would have gotten me tons of head pats in grad school, education psychology. Yeah, me too. In my whatever humanities grad school crap. While at the same time saying absolutely nothing real or worthwhile. I don't know. I can't even believe they just kept doubling into it and daring to keep going on that. And Scott Adams added it to his hoax list. And then I saw like there was some article about the use of hoax as a right wing.
Oh, geez.
They are just utterly shameless.
I like this post by Scott Adams. It's just today. I didn't even read the whole thing, but he says most of what looks like political disagreement is simply Democrats not understanding how the real world works. They don't understand bank loans or the difference between cash and physical assets. We learned that this month. They don't understand that money makes both news and science mostly fake. They don't understand how DEI is a supply problem, not a demand problem. They don't understand how free speech works. Oh yeah, the free speech stuff all went down this week with Ketanji Jackson.
Oh, Jesus.
Saying,
Just after I had been white-pilled on the Supreme Court, after they had ruled unanimously that no, Denver, you can't take him off the ballot for things he hasn't been indicted for, charged with. Yeah,
let alone convicted of.
I was like, oh, that's a nice little white pill. And then she comes out with this quote saying like, I'm concerned that you're saying the government isn't allowed to limit speech.
Yeah.
What?
Not like they had all the stuff that was the hearings before the Supreme Court. I listened to some of it on Glenn Greenwald, and there was all this stuff where Alito was basically the only one saying like, wait a minute, this isn't like stuff of like the government asking Twitter about stuff. This is Twitter talking to them like they're children who must remove the stuff now or bad stuff will happen to them. and no, it doesn't matter. Ketanji Jackson Brown says, no, well, shouldn't the government be able to shut something down if we think something's scary or bad? And that's the Supreme Court justice now. They think the experts are telling the truth. They don't understand the degree to which their opinions are the result of intentional brainwashing. They don't understand that teachers' unions have destroyed education. The school choice is the only viable option. They don't understand, they don't understand the necessity of nuclear power. They think the temperature of the planet can be accurately measured. That was one of the things that it looks like Jordan Peterson just came out with a video where he's debating Destiny, and I already listened to maybe about half of it, and they were brawling with each other pretty hard.
Oh yeah.
I've got a clip from TikTok of I forget, Senator Kennedy asking this kid who is a climate specialist there to testify. I think just asking him questions like what he knows about the climate is pretty funny. And Flip noticed and posted a thing about the Great Salt Lake seeming to be doing pretty well.
Thank you, John Larson.
Yeah, thanks to John Larson's prayers. They think there are too many humans in the world, not too few. They think national debt is no big issue. They think releasing criminals from all jails improves the lives of some communities. And then we saw a whole bunch of stuff about squatters this week, which is spooky. They think releasing criminals from jails improves the lives of some communities. And that actually kind of got interesting with Bokovoy, because Bokovoy talked about jail and working with people in jail and how to get them out of jail and how to beat recidivism. And they're all only there because there's no such thing as free will anyway.
Well, that means that we don't have the free will to take them out, right? Like, they're there because we also don't have the free will to respond any other way.
They think removing guns from citizens does not create a risk of government abuse. They think crimes not proven in court didn't happen. They think their kids are looking at Trump as a potential role model. Now, that's one of the biggest ones to me, is like they act like the right wing looks at Trump. The people who are going, I don't think there's one person in the world who loves Trump, thinks that Trump is like some sort of like
exemplary person.
He's not a moral guy.
They think he's the holy hand grenade of Antioch. That's it. They don't. they don't think he's somebody to look up to in that any other sort of sense other than he likes them, he likes the country, which it seems like the other side does not, and he foils their plans. That's it. They don't think he's a great guy. They think there's no big risk from TikTok compared to American-controlled social media. They don't know why half of their own kids are suddenly LGBTQ against all odds. I could go on, but it's obvious why life experience turns liberals into conservatives, which is another thing. We were watching Anna Kasparian turn into a conservative right before our eyes.
Yeah, that's been fascinating.
Straight up fascist.
But encouraging, you know.
Well, they always say like a neocon is born when a lefty gets mugged. You know?
I know that was like all of a sudden she can. Oh, I was mugged. Now I can be reasonable on Kyle Rittenhouse.
Risto shared with me one of the Black Menaces clips. I'll get to. We got several Black Menacey stuff, but man, they're just that dim. We'll get to it, and I'll pull that one up to see what it is. Let me show you this clip because we got the Bokovoy Shark Week this week, as they called it, just Bokovoy all week. And Bokovoy is the guy who we made fun of his song before, and he played the song again. The monedas and pesos, monedas and pesos.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He wrote a song about giving money to the Mexicans at the border, and we copied the song. But I got
into big argument. Jonathan did too. Like on Facebook pages, got into big arguments with him over the Bogosian Pluckrose Lindsay grievance study hoaxes. Like,
yeah, where did he stand or land on it?
Oh, he hates them. He hates them because they make a mockery of something that he loves, something that makes him look really smart and good. So yeah, he does not like them.
This is my favorite clip from. I didn't listen to all 4 hours, though. I listened to 4 hours, like it's 8 hours because each one of them's longer. What's 12 hours almost? And I listened to 2 of them. The first one, the last one, all the way through, and the 2 in the middle. I listened to some of them, which kind of talk about historicity of the Bible and the Book of Mormon, which I think we're all kind of really up to speed with that stuff, sort of. But
no, we need Carden to explain it to us.
Yeah, you missed. We were doing our Ward Radio impression before you got here. We were.
Yeah, we started out with the music. Oh, I had one other clip I wanted to share about boring church, but I'll get to that right here. All right, this is my favorite clip.
Oh, this was great.
Just talking about this idea of deep canvassing, where the way to change hearts and minds, for example, in LGBT stuff, isn't to quote them stats. It's not even to say you're causing deaths of youth. Your beliefs cause youth to die. That's a form of humiliation.
Sure.
It's true. The truth.
But yeah,
whether you quote stats or gun control stats or abortion
someone
stats
on
or whatever,
on like ancient texts, it's true.
I mean, evidence creates, when presented to someone whose identity is closely tied to a religious or a political position, factual evidence actually strengthens their conviction around their position. So
does it?
Facts or evidence that persuades. This book, How Minds Change, it's question asking.
It's almost self-aware.
Sort of the street epistemology of McCraney.
The almost self-awareness also almost makes this the most unself-aware clip in this.
I know.
That's really amazing. That's just like the part where it's like, it's like, oh, we shouldn't yell at them that you're killing gay kids. Like,
and why do you do that?
Not because it's factually untrue. You should do it because people are offended when you tell them. No, you shouldn't say that because it's factually untrue and it's an abuse tactic.
Well, if he was being honest, he would say you can still do it, but do it in a very backhanded finger wagging type way.
Do it with more empathy.
Here's something to think about of a pragmatic use for all the boredom in church. Came from Josh Neal, who was the ex-Mormon. What is he? A psychoanalyst who's popped up around, and he calls out kind of some ex-Mormon leftyism. But this is him talking about the benefits of boringness.
I wonder if
oh no.
the psychological issues that appear in that community are a trade-off with their success, or like how they look at the world allows them to be very organized, very busy, very industrious, very successful, as you said.
Yeah. Well, did you ever come across that book, Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother?
No.
Okay, so there was this woman, Amy Chua, I think that's how it's pronounced, and she wrote this book probably over 10 years ago, maybe even more than that, maybe like 15 years ago. And it was about her Chinese parenting style. It was very strict, as opposed to like the American lax, lazy parenting style. And she later followed it up with a book called, I think they called it Triple Threat, but they looked at disproportionately successful cultures within the United States. And they found Jewish culture, Chinese culture, Mormon culture, and I think it was some group of African culture. And I believe what they found was that there's an inherent sense of superiority. There's at the same time an insecurity that's undergirding that sense of superiority, like not fully feeling like you're part of the broader culture, like you're kind of an outsider. And then the other trait that they aligned with the success of these groups was like the ability to be very disciplined and focused for a long period of time. So as a Mormon, you're going to church from you're born into it. And it's this 3-hour block every Sunday, and it's very boring. So like you learn impulse control, you learn to sit there and be doing really boring crap. And so the thing that I think now that kind of leads to an understanding of the success that Mormons may have materially. But the put together part, I think, is also cultural. Like,
yeah, so maybe that extreme boredom serves a purpose later in life. Like, how do you recreate that extreme boredom if you don't have some place to make your kids sit and respect for 3 hours a week when they're just going crazy in their heads? That's just one last thought on the beneficialness of the boringness of church. So maybe taking it away is taking something else away. Charles says he went to the University of Oklahoma, by the way, so it wasn't exactly leftist hellscape. Oddly enough, my undergrad was in poli-sci, and it was way less ideological than grad school. I didn't notice it was in the 2000s, so stuff didn't get crazy ideological for me until grad school. But nowadays, like I have a friend going to Westminster right now, and all of his classes are social justice in undergrad, just inside and out. Like every single thing, he has to write papers on the pink tax and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't have to do any of that, but then it got super ideological the second I went to grad school. So much so that it knee-jerked me, and I was confused and didn't understand what was going on. And that's where I was exposed to and force-fed Foucault and Judith Butler. That's why I got to be a de facto dumb expert on that stuff. And we've got a degenerate book review on.
Oh God damn!
Anyway, Bokovoy. I mean, I didn't pull a ton of stuff. This guy, he absolutely just, to me, seems like somebody. He was somebody who was involved in higher criticism and coming across all of the problems with truth claims across decades were never once a problem for him. But then he woke away from the church. He just totally did the woke away thing. And so to me, he's just kind of like strangely, I don't know, like a guy who just never put two and two together with as far as the analytical end, and just flies off of his emotions everywhere he goes. But I don't know. Oh man, there's a lot of extra comments. But yeah, man, I mean, I was at the University of Utah in the 2000s, and that place was already full ideological, and I didn't even know what hit me at that time frame or how it had gotten that way. But now BYU caught up to it, which blows my mind. That's the whole issue with that stuff. The fakeness is worse than the boringness. That is true too. I don't know, but how do you recreate that boringness? That's one of the things I've always talked with people about, of you know how like extreme adversity, growing up on the streets creates a Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
I
how
saw
do you
somebody.
artificially do that?
Yeah, how do you artificially make somebody that tough? I don't think you can artificially make somebody that tough. And maybe if you nerf the world so much and are able to cure all cause harmies, nobody ever gets that tough because we're supposed to be anti-fragile, right? We're supposed to be put up against extremely hard, difficult things. Yeah, so, but Bokovoy, I mean, I got a couple clips on this dude, but
Good old Bokovoy.
for sure he just woke away, and I don't think the guy's that interesting. In fact, to me, he's basically just Dan McClellan light. I don't know how else to say it. He's just like a boring Dan McClellan, and Dan McClellan's also boring. Ooh, I forgot. I've got one more thing that overlapped with the Curb Your Enthusiasm. Here it is.
Result of this experience, you can call Alice's attorneys immediately to let her know that you're on board with this. What are you doing? I think I'm eating an apple. Okay, I'm worried you're not taking this seriously. You're blithely eating an apple here. We're really eat an apple, but blithely. Yeah, but I need to. How apples are eaten. I think you're incorrect about that. My dad ate angry apples all the time. An angry apple?
There's no way to eat an apple except for blithely. Like, oh, I can't believe you're just blithely eating an apple. McClellan. Yeah. What was I about to talk about? The Bokovoy.
I think you were going to show some Bokovoy clips.
Bokovoy. There's something else. The free will stuff. Gosh darn it.
Ooh, here's an interesting thing. Remember so last January, the meme of January was that woman on the police force who fucked everyone.
Oh, yeah.
You see, she settled her lawsuit.
No.
The city of Laverne settles a lawsuit, owes Megan Hall $500,000.
Are you kidding me?
No. It's
what?
On Twitter, Clown World posted that. So I don't know why. I don't know how what do you think their HR guy was going through? When that whole thing happened, and they're like, "What should we think more about her feelings?" What about how she feels? I know she fucked half of the police force, but how
much?
Makes her feel?
How much was it?
He said $500,000. I didn't read that from an
God.
actual source. It was just a tweet from Clown World, but
unbelievable.
Yeah, the gangsters and those who committed drunk driving accidents or white collar crime, the various things that would lead someone to such a state. It was difficult to think about working with those who committed a sex offense. I'm a father and I'm a grandfather, and it's a difficult issue. And yet what I learned was that everyone has a story. No one, I don't believe anyone turns to darkness just for darkness' sake. Everyone has a story, and it doesn't justify what has been done, but everyone has a story. And when you get to know a little bit about the story in the background, you see the humanity and develop the compassion, the concern, and the love. And that was a really important growth for me. And I've come to deeply care about all those who are incarcerated, regardless of what they've done.
Beautiful.
This is you may not be prepared for this question, but I think it'd be fun to at least ask it. Nowadays, and this probably isn't super new, there's this.
Okay, hang on.
How much free will do
I hate to sound petty, but didn't he just finish explaining a couple weeks ago that he does not dye his hair? Look at that shit.
That looks pretty obvious, doesn't it?
That's pretty fucking black. Maybe he doesn't. I don't care if he does or doesn't. It's funny to me.
Well, now they're talking about sex offenders in prison, and now free will's on the table.
Do any of us really have?
Yeah.
And I think the area where that conversation is most useful is in situations with people who are in prison.
Why useful? Useful to justify it all the way?
Incarcerated people. And I think it touches on empathy as well. do you have you thought through that question of free will? And if so, where have you personally come out on it? And if you have thoughts on that, have you applied it to your work with people in the prison system?
Oh, thank you. Lovely question. I
lovely.
had an
Lovely.
experience in my life where I hit what for me was rock bottom. I was very,
Yeah, he just goes on into like their circumstances or what creates them. 100%.
Did I ever tell you I got to see?
Self-reflecting.
I got to see that whatever the Moedas y whatever song. I got to see it live.
Nuh-uh.
I did. We you remember Sean and Crystal Escobar? They were on Mormon Stories at one point. They had a podcast. They really stepped away from all the Mormon shit. Like anyway, they had us on our podcast and they threw this big party and invited, and John Dehlin was there and David Bokovoy was there, and so we're sitting in this like guest room of this rich person's house, the guest house, and somebody hands him a guitar.
Oh my gosh!
Little song I wrote. And I'm
He's played that song everywhere, huh?
I'm listening to him talk, and I'm like, "We're at a fucking party, man. Shut up." I would just want to. I'm like sitting there, like I don't want to be rude and go get up and get another drink, but I gotta listen to this guy cry about some mamita who's washing clothes or whatever. But I just got up and got another drink.
De los dos no tengo.
Moneda. Yeah, I'll play this song here in a minute. Unless he copyright strikes us.
I dare you to not cry when we listen to it.
All right.
Whatever it might be. But that's just not a focus any longer, especially at my age. It's about happiness and well-being. And when once that happened, that's when it was no longer a battle for me. Really, that's when it was no longer an issue. So thank you, Margie. That was lovely.
Oh, that was a whole 17 minutes he did about being 21720 getting in shape, because he got in shape from this to this. He did it because
I mean, he's a beast.
Yeah, you don't worry about weight anymore. You just eat and think about health and whatever, and you leave the Mormonism, and that happens to you.
You're showing off. You mentioned, Dave, wanting us to talk about how you had to kind of deconstruct the effect of patriarchy on you,
yes,
and in your relationship with Carolyn.
Yeah,
now, you may have already touched on some of that, but is there more you wanted to say about that?
Maybe just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I went through, a time where I
this is so
was doing
fake.
self-reflection.
Dude, his fucking voice.
Sit to the church. You're gonna get better by sitting here bored to this. You're gonna become a better.
I know. He's just doing all this fake, like, yeah, this is my empathetic voice right now. I thank you so much, Margie, for that. That's just lovely.
That was lovely.
Lovely.
Everything is lovely.
Would you like some of my sweaty balls?
And I realized that I had still retained some of the patriarchal views that I had received, indoctrinated into, culturally appropriated, whatever.
No free will.
Culturally, what?
And I thought, and it was very painful for me when I realized that, because even as a Latter-day Saint, I identified as
You guys are such donks.
So terrible.
Mormon male feminist. I was sensitive. I felt sensitive to these topics and issues for most of my life, and and yet, what happened was that it's hard when you publish articles and you write books and do things like that, and you have people come and they say nice things about you and you feel good. Oh, that book helped me. Oh, I loved your article. I loved this. I loved the Mormon Stories interviews, whatever it might be. On the one hand, it feels good. On the other hand, it feels very uncomfortable to me. And one of the reasons why is because I crave connection. And so it's not like it's not, oh, look at me, or I did this, or I did that. This is me. This is my journey. This is what I've experienced. I want to share it with you, and then I want to learn from you, and I want to connect with you. I want to be authentic. I want to be open, and that's one of the greatest benefits of the journey that I have been on is I feel I've been able to be more authentic, as are those my friends. I think it's hard to be authentic as a Latter-day Saint when one is trying to live in accordance
Of course, I'm authentic.
with the expectations and demands that are placed upon a person, and always showing that they are living that way, even with their friends and family members. It's hard to just be authentic and open about challenges and problems and growth and intimacy is what I truly crave. Intimacy. And intimacy it has to happen, I think, when we open up and share and are authentic. And that's one of the most beautiful things that happens in leaving a high demand religion, is an ability to be authentic and to be yourself, and accept others for who they are.
Brown, I know
and
it.
then just learn
He
to
already said it a bunch of times in this.
Did he?
love the diversity and make everyone your tribe. It's a beautiful journey.
And do you get a sense that maybe
What was that?
patriarchy, as it's expressed in Mormonism, it can be a burden to intimacy between spouses, let's say,
goodness, yes.
or others?
Absolutely. What I mean, I what I think, I'll speak for as a man, I'll speak to men, and what I think we need to learn is that the patriarchy doesn't just damage the life experience of women, which it does. It's destructive. It's deadly, amongst other things. But what the patriarchy does is it actually makes life very difficult and sometimes unbearable for men as well. It is highly problematic. And to the extent that we retain that in society, and particularly in religious context, it is highly problematic. When I realized, and what I had retained was that I realized that, when people started giving me the accolades, I felt kind of good about myself. And then it's inevitably I started to think, I in my mind, I realized I felt like I was maybe a little bit better even than Carolyn, my life companion and best friend. Connected with, because as a man.
Why did it cut to Marty right there?
It's not because you're
Deep.
It's not because you're a patriarch. It's because you're a dick.
I felt a little bit better than my
Yeah, when I got
that's the Marty, like
when I
you
got
have all this
micro
work?
fame, I thought I was better than my wife because I'm sexist. No, it's because you're a dick.
that's because you're dumb.
The acknowledged accomplishments.
Yeah, and that there's just something about it. For example, and women do it as well. If you watch, I mean, you can listen to, for example, you can be in a room and a woman can say something in the room, and people may listen, they may not listen, but then a man will say something. Even that woman who said something before will turn and engage in that and give respect to that view because it's articulated by a male voice.
Oh yeah, this happens all the time. This is normal life.
It's just such a load of shit.
It's such a load of shit.
And I have been victim to that, and not only that, but it has hurt those who I have loved.
Add a little bit of quivering tears to a voice, and oh boy.
Yeah, he's going eye-ring on us.
And when I realized to the extent that even as a post-Mormon, that I had retained a little bit of that, and I wasn't aware of it, it was connected with that deep, dark moment that I talked about, where I realized I needed to make some changes, and I'm so grateful for it, because my wife and I call her that because really she's my life companion. I don't even like the term wife anymore, truth be told. We have a relationship based upon equality now.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. I'm sure your relationship is entirely equal. I guarantee it.
All right, this is good stuff right here.
There's a lot of bipartisan support for that. You don't want to spend.
I'll go back. Somewhere around right here.
And I get excited about that. It's lovely to see. I'll just share one brief story, for example, that one of our students is graduating this upcoming year with an associate's degree. He was raised on a white supremacist compound. There are a lot of, believe it or not, it's strange, but there are a lot of white supremacists, Nazi, type gangs and things like that are in the prison system, as well as other gangs. And this man was raised indoctrinated into this viewpoint. And he came to me about a year ago. And he's maintained he just got an A-, so it's not quite a 4.0, but this guy is like 3.9 now. And at that time, 4.0, and he was taking anthropology, criminal justice, and the first half of American history that semester. Okay. And he came to me and said, David, nothing has ever transformed me in my life like this semester has. He said it hasn't, nothing's been transformative like this. Therapy hasn't worked to this level, but I feel like I understand things differently now. He said, I thought I overcame my racism. I was a separatist, meaning they felt like the racists should.
He was a separatist. He was a separatist.
Be separated from each other. I had no idea that was
Like
still
Black Lives
racism
Matter
I was
believes
holding on
right
to.
now.
How did you come up with that?
I'm so grateful. And at the end of that semester, I sat in his criminal justice classes. This man gave an oral report on the systemic problems that African Americans face in the justice system. So that's the type of thing that happens when
testimony meeting.
education
He's
is
just
offered to those who
testifying of
want it
somebody
and
who
haven't had a
heard
chance
it.
to pursue it.
Yeah, but you didn't graduate him out of separatism, fella. If you're pushing him into anti-racism, that is still separatist.
You're just switching sides, literally.
Derek Bell is a separatist. He was critical of Brown versus the Board of Education as much as I don't know, white supremacist. God, you them from separatism, and now you got right back into a different form of separatism, but from the other direction. Horseshoe. Way to
The
go.
right type of separatism.
Yeah. Anyway, should we listen to some
Separatism
music?
plus.
It's separatism with self-hatred, not with,
Yeah. White, as Sargon always called it, white supremacy with a conscience.
So you can go to Spotify and look up Dead
Spotify
Cowboys. So
and
we'll have Julia
The
list
Dead
that.
Cowboys, and you'll see a lot of these songs.
So in a way, we're connecting with your 16-year-old self.
Yeah, I'm coming back to exactly. I'm becoming more and more.
I love
always
that.
was. I've been on this journey where I was going, and then I took this long road of scholarship and Bible things, and come back to where I just always felt comfortable. I guess.
All right, and the song's called.
The song is called "Nickels and Dimes."
Monedas y
This is
pesos.
David
Monedas y
Vodka
pesos?
playing Nickels and
Pero en
Dimes
inglés?
to close today's episode.
Oh, thank God.
Robin Hood and Little John are walking through the forest.
It's so cold. Marie starts
Donde
to cry.
fue mi moneda?
Sometimes I wish I could just lay down and die. Yet I know she needs me. Yes, I know how she needs me.
She needs
So
a
I
need.
beg for nickels and dimes.
Nickels and dimes. Diamond all day.
Dirty corner. You're my you as tourist, you tend to feel that you're not so alone. Hold my cup to you, you just walk on by. And if I'm lucky, I'll get your nickels and dimes. Jose's been gone for such a long time.
Such a
Just
long
doing
time.
In
It's
a
a
foreign
long
land
time.
where he promised he would find.
Monedas
Maybe
y
there's some way
pesos.
he could find it somehow to bring home more than just nickels and dimes.
Monedas y
Nickels and
pesos.
dimes.
You're pissing off Troy. He's mad. He's missing Ward Radio for this bullshit.
Listen, dog, we got some exciting announcements coming up for the third hour.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't have more exciting stuff because the rest of it is more women whining.
Oh.
Let's see.
That's
So-
like We could either podcast about women whining, or we could turn off the podcast where we could experience women whining, and then we can wake up and go to work tomorrow where we will experience women whining.
I saw this guy on Twitter talk about how he totally sees how it would be viable to let women start serving the sacrament. And
Yeah, I saw that.
I just commented on it and just said, "You will achieve pissing off feminists more and nobody else caring."
I
That's
know. Who are you? They're just going to be mad at you for the insulting, like, oh, they didn't really give us any authority.
Feminists will remain angry. You lose is the answer to appeasing feminists.
Don't want a compromise.
Yeah.
In fact, they actually don't really want to get their way, because once
They
got
don't
their
want
way,
to
they
hear
have to
from you.
Yeah, well, once they got their way, they have to pretend that there's a new problem, and they've already been pretending on these problems for a long time.
So there was supposed to be a women's walkout at church on March 17th.
Hilarious.
That had to do with those women being taken off the stand like a year ago or something. And I was over at Kevin's ward. I didn't see any women walk out or notice, but the whole thing behind it, I thought it was kind of funny because on Mormon News Roundup, they had some people talk about it, and they said why it's not going to be a very successful what do they call it, like a campaign or something like that, an activism campaign. They said one of the reasons it isn't is because it doesn't have like a hierarchical structure with a leader at the top of it. Like most activism does better if it has like a built-in hierarchical structure and a unified message. I'm like, oh, so you're saying those more fashy activisms work better than the loosey-goosey lefty activisms? But let's listen to it.
What a roller coaster ride. Have you all been over to the church's official Instagram page yet? So a few days ago, they published this Dennis's outlandish quote, and this morning it reached over 8,000 comments. They are getting so much flack from women, members and non-members, that they even commented themselves. The church's social media team acknowledges the numerous comments that have emerged in response to this post. Thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Your comments will be shared with church leaders who follow these issues. We, like you, strive to follow the example of Jesus Christ in our interactions, including conversations online. Except just now, they apparently deleted all the comments, but new ones are still coming in, which means that they're actively deleting them, right? Not that they turned off the comments, which of course doesn't make any sense, but let's read some of the new ones. PR nightmare happening right now. Probably a good idea to stop deleting comments and issue an apology. You can't silence us anymore. How does the censorship work here? Do you delete all the comments after there are more than 8,000? Or are the comments deleted every 48 hours? Messages silencing women received. Have fun, dudes. Actually insane to silence the voices of women you just claimed have the most power and authority of any church. What an incredible PR move, deleting the comments, which proves the point in my opinion, rather than just turning off the comments. Can't wait for this comment to be deleted to prove our point further. So saddened at the attempt to silence the voices of powerful and intelligent women through deleting comments. Unbelievable that you deleted all the comments. What are you so afraid of? There were over 8,000 comments yesterday. Most of these comments were women dissenting these statements. How important are women's voices again? My heart aches for the thousands of Christ-like suggestions, sacred experiences, and pleas that were deleted here. Also, let's have it on record, because the church certainly doesn't want it on the record. Let's read some of the comments before the church deleted them. Thank goodness for screenshots. Hi, I have been thinking about this post all day and just deeply resonate with the many, many voices acknowledging it sadly does not align with reality.
This is boring. Do you know what the video was? So here's the video that it was.
There is no other religious organization in the world that I know of that has so broadly given power and authority to women.
What a thing to be said in ignorance. First of all, this statement is false and disrespectful. If you, like Sister Dennis, are familiar with other religions, please stick around. The Lutheran Church has female pastors. Judaism has female rabbis. Episcopalians have female priests. And certain factions of the Roman Catholic Church also have female priests. Even the Community of Christ Church, which is a faction from the mainstream LDS Church, allows women to serve in leadership positions and hold the priesthood. They have 6 female apostles, and their next prophet in line is a woman. After leaving the Mormon Church, we tried out 6 other churches to see which one we liked, and every single one of them had a female pastor.
And I didn't keep going because they were totally disorganized.
I know, that's the funniest shit ever. Morgan keeps trying to go to other churches, and we keep, like, that Eastern Orthodox church that we went to. They've added several members, like, in the last couple years. Like, there's a big meeting crisis for sure, and I think they're actually growing. They're growing almost enough to get get another building in my town, because this one's like 40 miles away. But that's growing. And then she also went to the Universalist Church, and they're just like, it's like a revolving door of people that are like, you know, if your teachings are like, you do whatever, then okay, I know. I'm going to stay home.
Yeah. It's all good. Do whatever. All right, I'll do something
It
else.
is a
then.
ridiculous kind of claim from the Mormon Church, though. I mean, is there
That's
any
a
way
stupid claim.
to
It's- of
reconcile
course.
that?
It's pretty stupid. Like, what are you talking about?
Wow, it's
Like,
it's a dumb
they get
claim.
to go
but
to
it's-
heaven. I guess, like, if they get to go to heaven, then yes, then you're doing great.
But I get infinitely irritated because, like, we saw RFM go on like a rant about how upset he gets that the women don't get the power at this thing that he think is complete bullshit and has no power. Like, I never can square that circle in my head of white people.
No, I get what he's saying, because there's this Harry Potter club down the street from me, and like they don't allow women to use magic. You know, like only men are allowed to cast, and it fucking makes me mad. It pisses like, no, you let that woman use magic, and I want to legislate it.
I mean, as long as they're not allowing mudbloods, I'm okay with anything.
I don't get it. I will never get it. Like, would they be fine with the church if it was completely women run? I bet you they would. Like, they'd have to back down on everything and say, we can't criticize this anymore because now women run the show.
That's not how any of this works, though. They don't want to be fine. They don't. There's nothing the church could do that would set. Like, they could change everything. What do you think they do? Like, that'd be the funniest. I want to go to the universe, because apparently there's infinite universes, you know? So there's obviously a universe where tomorrow the church becomes everything John Dehlin wants it to. And I want to see what happens next week. Like, I want to see what his podcast says next week and next month. Remember when they were really bad? They're still really bad somehow. I'll figure out how.
Here's another one. It was all over, of course.
Say something about this ridiculous bullshit post about women the church had the balls to put on Instagram.
Balls.
One account, which is almost certainly run by a man or multiple men, posted a quote from the counselor of the church's women's organization, the Relief Society. This organization's first counselor, who was assigned to that role by men who claimed God told them to give her that role, and she had no choice but to say yes.
I swear to God, I thought she was going to say assigned female at birth.
Of by the male leaders of the church, and the Relief Society is an organization that is ostensibly run by women. We all know the truth is that every single thing that happens in the Relief Society is presided over by a man. So she says there's no other religious organization in the world that I know of that has so broadly given power and authority to.
Oh, it's just gripings, more gripings.
Gripe.
I have an idea. You can not be part of that church.
God forbid.
That's a weird little idea. I have a church for you now that is getting totally taken over by women. It's called Star Wars.
Oh man.
Ass woman. I cried through the entire movie. There was just something about the relationship between the sisters, the like de-villainization of the classic kind of fairy tale bad guy, you know, the concept of true love being between two sisters and not a heterosexual relationship. Like it just completely. And I thought, gosh, you know, I would love to make something like this that is, you know, for lack of a better term, Disney, meaning something that like my parents would have allowed me to see when I was younger as a queer person.
Gotcha.
But I would have been able to understand as a queer person. And I think I would have had a completely different life. And so I really was inspired by it and was like, God, I would love to make a story like this. And so when I was developing this original idea to pitch to Kathleen, I thought, well, you know, it can't just be that, you know, when you're pitching Star Wars, you have to pull from what, you know, George was also interested in. Like
she's like, oh yeah, it's Star Wars.
Something, you know, during the High Republic or end of High Republic into prequels, you don't have the Skywalker saga. Like you can't reference a character that was created by George and or Filoni. Like you have to create your own new characters.
Yeah, so she says She wants the Star Wars franchise to not be about a war.
Well, and it's not, and you're wrong that it's not entirely taken over by women because ContraPoints is in it.
Really?
Yep.
Really? Like in the show, it's Acolytes, it's a TV show,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I sent you the screenshot.
Oh my
ContraPoints
gosh.
is a yep. So it's not all women.
The,
they got one dick in there.
they had this thing like they showed a bunch of Padawans, and of course, none of the Padawans were boys.
Well, I just
not even like one of them.
Okay. So the prequels I don't like, but the thing that was consistent from the prequel to the sequels is like people looked like they lived in the same universe. You know, like they didn't have wildly different hairs. It's not like Anakin had a hairstyle that was concurrent with 1999, you know, or whatever. And it was, but now everybody looks like they work at a Google office or something. Not the kids, obviously, but
this lady, you know who this lady is? She was the lady who's directing the Acolytes. The one who's just talking.
Oh yeah, what's her name again?
I forget. She was Harvey Weinstein's assistant, and like yeah, she helped him do some of his raping.
Yeah, hell of a feminist.
Like help set it up, help set up the places they'd go, help like drive the women over to it and stuff like that. She was like completely involved in his shenanigans with women. But girl power.
Yeah, thank God your ideology doesn't involve being brave anymore.
It's so dumb. I came across some feminist comics. Do you want to look at them?
No.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
So much material. These are good.
No, they're not.
Here's one. Comic. Women are only feminists until the bill comes. And you are only a feminist when the bill comes.
I love that comic is, this person is insufferable. I've seen all of her comics. Yeah, I haven't seen those specific ones, but I've seen a lot of hers. And that's one of the funny, there's got to be a name for the trope where they try to point out a double standard, but they just say you too.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like you're a feminist until the bill comes. Well, you don't want to pay the bill. Okay. That means we both have a double standard.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
So pay the bill, buddy.
Bitch.
You believe modern women hate men. How does that affect you? It's irritating and it's harder for me to get laid. You believe modern men hate women. How does that affect you? I'm at constant risk of being harassed, stalked, assaulted, raped, or murdered.
You're not.
It's madness.
Comedy.
I heard in an argument with an ex-Mormon feminist, I was told every single woman you know has received an unsolicited dick pic and been sexually assaulted in that way. I'm like, first off, that is not sexual assault. Okay, don't be a fucking wuss. If somebody sent me a dick pic, I'm gonna be like, "You're gonna sexually assault?" I'm like, "Ew, gross." I'm gonna delete it and block them. Luckily, you can do that. But and then I asked all of the women I know. Like, I asked my wife, "Have you ever received?" She's like, "What? No, I mean from you probably, but like after we're married." And I know. She's like, well, you probably sent me like
you learned that patriarchy from the upbringing in Mormonism you got.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know. You probably sent me a picture of your nutsack one time when I was like at a family dinner or something. But other than that, no. And then like my mom, my sister, all of these people she told me would definitely have received an unsolicited dick pic, which is violence, by the way.
Jerry, have you ever deconstructed the patriarchy that made you send that ball pic to your wife? I don't know that you take the time to deconstruct such notions that were.
You're actually right. Feminism has taught me that I need to quit joking with my wife and having.
You culturally appropriated that through patriarchy. You know that.
I need to ask her consent. I'd be like, I think it would be really, really humorous if I were to send you a picture of my ball bag right now while you're in a public event. Would you consent to that joke? Thank you for asking. I would consent to that joke.
Zelf on the Shelf had the Alyssa on, and
Yeah, it was
didn't
pretty-
you say they said something about
So
patriarchy made?
it was mostly dumb and not eventful. It was weird because they had her on there specifically to tear down missions, and most of what she did was just talk about how she enjoyed her mission. Like she seemed to like it. I don't know, but
But there was
yeah,
something about you said that like she would get into fights with her
Yeah, there
companion,
was-
and that came from patriarchy.
Yeah, so there was this time she's reading from her journal about her companion. They were at a baptism, and the companion, she's like, I don't know what happened. And my companion was really grumpy. I think it's because more people were talking to me at the baptism than her. And then she stopped reading for a second. She's like, oh God, I sound so self-important here. And I was like, well, yeah, a little bit, but it's your journal, whatever. And of course, Samantha, divorce queen, had to comfort her and be like, "Oh no, that's what patriarchy does. See, it takes. Of course, you live in a patriarchal society, so women they fight and bicker amongst themselves at times." And I was like,
Yeah, we love that.
There
as
was
men.
no
That's-
man in the story.
No, but just in general. I mean, that's why we, as members of the patriarchy, created a world where chicks are constantly bickering because we love it.
We do like bickering.
It
We
enhances
do.
our life so much when women fight.
We even created a word for it. We created the word nagging because we love it.
Doesn't that ultimately become like a reverse Bechdel test? Because the Bechdel test is in the shows or whatever, they're only supposed to have two women talking about, not a man. But
Yeah.
if everything that the women do is completely over affected by the overarching patriarchy, there's no way to pass the Bechdel test.
Nope.
This screw that lady's dumb comics. I posted a bunch of them, but I'm tired of them already. That you know what they all say already, just off of looking at that one thing. But this is worth watching if everybody here and everybody listening hasn't watched. It's Aiden Paladin.
Mm.
And
that
it's
one
an
was
hour and
great.
24 minutes, but she takes to task the constant stuff about false rape allegations and the
Yeah.
percentages of it.
I watched
And,
all of that. That was
if you look at it, you see these percentages here that in all these different places, because they're regional, and all these different regional places find it to be as high as 19%, 71%, 48%, 30%, 41%. And it's just a complete, absolute lie that it's only 2%.
Well, and I love that. I even at the time when they were doing the Me Too shit, and anytime you bring up like, what about false allegations, and they say, well, that only happens 2% of the time. So hashtag believe all
first
women. I
they
was
say,
like,
what
wait
about
a minute.
it?
Well, yeah, but I'm like, wait a minute. Shouldn't it be hashtag believe 98% of women? If that's the case, like if at least 2% of them are lying about it, then maybe just 98% of them we should believe.
Hashtag 1 in 50 women lie about rape.
Well, there was a self-report test that they had about a bunch of different women going around college campuses, and they said 1 in 4 women are getting raped in college campuses, and people said, man, you shouldn't send them to the war zone in Angola or something like that if you know that's a higher percentage rape than there. But then they looked into the reporting of that stuff, and in most of the cases it was just generally like asking women if any sort of time with a boyfriend or anything she had sexual relations when she wasn't in the mood got counted in as rape.
Yeah.
And
like if somebody asked you out on the bus and it was awkward, that was a sexual assault.
Yeah, they just added in every possible thing, and it's just a joke. Here's a little clip from there.
Did not proceed because the claims of the alleged victims were deemed inconsistent due to the claimant having mental or psychiatric issues and thereby were unable to be verified. Ignoring the mental illness instances, that leaves us at 20% of allegations being false. Perhaps the victims said their reports were false out of fear, true, but if we take that same percentage of police, 50% who believe that the withdrawals were coerced, and then apply them to the far more serious legal situation of a supposed victim admitting to having falsified the claim, even then, we end up with 15% of reports being false. And if we then add in the claims that are dropped, including the 50% coercion rate, we're at 34% of all claims being false or retracted for some reason other than coercion or threat. That's a third. This is me being as fair as possible via the data that we have available. It's not 2%, it's somewhere between 19 and 34% at the lower end of the estimate, and between 20 and 58% at the higher end of the estimate.
But don't matter. We live in a feministy world.
Well, there's almost like it's this sort of offshoot of the hatchling syndrome where like people are so naive that they act like they're the type of person who believes the woman will probably not do the bad thing, right? Because if I were to ask these people, like, I don't know, Aiden Paladin goes over it in her video. She talks about in New Zealand at one point, the government said they would, like, even if the sexual assault allegation was past the statute of limitations, or even if it was thrown out of court or whatever, they would pay women thousands and thousands of dollars, I think, to just to if they claimed that they were sexually assaulted. And like the claims went up by 1,000,000% after they did that. Obviously, now the feminist take on that obviously is, well, that's we didn't even realize how high it was. See how many people were actually sexually assaulted. But the realist approach is like, okay, but you're actually motivating people to lie about this. And then they go all hatchling and say, I don't think they would lie about it. You know, like that would be dishonest. I'm like, have you ever met people, you fucking idiot? Jesus.
Well, feminists are saving the world. We got like all the divorcees of ex-billionaires dumping all their ex money. They looked into the money that Jeff Bezos' ex-wife dumped into NGOs around the world. And if you think wokeness is past peak woke, I mean, it sort of is, but it isn't. But it's still just like the Sweet Baby Inc. and everything. They just rebrand themselves, redouble down. But they've got all this funding, $17.3 billion going into race and ethnicity. They broke down all the stuff that she's donated to. And she just like announced like 6 billion more that she's given out. But looks like John DeLynn is looking for 4 current or former LDS Relief Society presidents available for an interview within the next week in the Salt Lake City studio. And that one was asked in pink. Man, what are these gender roles? Why did you ask that one in pink? John DeLynn. Ugh.
That does seem like something I wouldn't do if I branded myself a male feminist.
Patriarchy, man. It's just so patriarchy. This is the thing on Instagram that I put up, and it's just kind of saying the same thing that lady said, saying that by contrast, all women 18 years older in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who choose a covenant relationship with God in the house of the Lord are endowed with priesthood power directly from God. And as we serve in whatever calling or assignment, including ministering assignments, we are given priesthood authority to carry out those responsibilities. Yeah. So they're trying to like say that they're technically got priesthood powers. I don't know. It is a goofy message. Like I don't know why they decided to. I mean, I guess they were trying to counteract the March 17 thing or something like that. I have no idea. But
it's the kind of thing that I've heard from a million Relief Society presidents before and shit like that. I actually don't know of any organization. Did you know the Relief Society is the largest women's organization in the world? Okay, that doesn't mean anything to anybody. You're 16 women in a room on Sunday. That's effectively what you are. Okay,
yeah. I would probably get the Black Menaces stuff, but gosh, the problem is like all this sucks. All the ex-Mormon stuff sucks. It's as boring and as sucky as anything else that sucks. I wanted to pull this up. Is Flip there? Or did he go? Risto posted
He's
this
back.
in the Longhouse. He's back. Did you listen to Risto's post on the Black Menaces?
I didn't. I saw it. I didn't get a chance to listen.
Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here it comes. Present share screen. Ready, go.
And I were flown out to Massachusetts to speak at Smith's College about race, activism, queerness, fighting discrimination.
Did you hear it? Did you hear it, Flip?
Do it again. I didn't hear it.
Activism, queerness, fighting discrimination, and much more.
Wow.
To speak at Smith's College about race, activism, queerness, fighting discrimination, and much more.
No way.
No way. Oh.
That's every like It gets me every time. Anytime I watch like a Mark Dice video, for
Yeah.
whatever reason, I'm always unprepared because I'm always listening to it. I'm not paying attention. I hear like Don Lemon interviewing Elon Musk or whatever, and then I hear a beep. I lose my shit laughing because somehow he always catches me off guard with that. It's he does it now. Mark Dice does it every single time. It's amazing.
Yeah. Christopher just posted this one, so I'm going in this one blind. This is just an actual Black Menaces video. Here it comes. Let me find it.
You're basically. Do you know anything about like the presidential race right now and the Republican people?
I know nothing about politics.
Okay, nothing at all.
Nothing, brother.
Okay, gotcha. Are you more pro-Israel or pro-Palestine? Do you know?
I don't even know about that.
Gotcha. Can I ask you why you don't know anything about it or about politics and stuff?
Well, you see, in the philosophy of Stoicism, it's important to disregard the things that are out of your control. Well, not disregard them, but to not worry about them, you know? I wouldn't say that I'm completely out of the loop on these kinds of things, but I do believe it's not worth my time worrying about if I cannot impact it.
Did you know you could impact it, though?
I could. Well, that's wonderful. But who's the right side, then?
Right, that's a matter of opinion. Personally, I am pro-Palestine.
Wonderful.
Because it's a human genocide right now, and Israel
This
has
guy's fucking awesome.
in the last month.
Oh.
And dropped
Yeah, that kid's better.
I fucking love this guy.
I like that. Oh.
The way that you really could. Do you know anything about like the presidential?
Jeez.
God, that was amazing. I love that guy.
Yeah, that's good. How much of the Black Menaces have you watched, Flip? You watched a ton of them?
Almost nothing, just a couple here and there.
Are you impressed?
Dude, that guy.
Man, he turned it around on him, really. Like he
That's
usually only
funny.
posts the videos that he like catches someone off guard. Like
I used the normal person ones.
They,
Some-
them? I would
Nope.
imagine.
As a male, you use
Okay,
he,
Hatchling.
him.
Right. Okay. Cool. He, him pronouns. Cool. What pronouns do you use?
He, him.
Yeah. Pronouns do you use?
He, him.
First question is, what pronouns do you use?
He, him.
Okay. First question is, what pronouns do you use?
I use she, her.
Okay. Cool. Okay. First question is, what pronouns do you use?
Don't know.
You don't know. Like, how would you want somebody to refer to you if they had to refer to you?
By my name?
Okay. Would it bother you if somebody like referred to you by like she, her pronouns?
Is this
I think it'd be interesting.
Okay.
Like,
is this supposed to be?
She, her.
I don't know. You tell me. I don't know why they do what they do or get.
Sweet. Okay. First question is, what pronouns do you use?
Pronouns?
Yes.
She, her.
First question is, what pronouns do you use?
he, him.
Cool. Is what pronouns do you use?
He, him.
I am
Okay,
curious.
so here's the deal.
Making sound.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you
I'm
tell
a-
me. Like, what the hell is?
I don't even know what his point was there. If I'm the dean or whatever, the president of BYU, I'm gonna watch that video, and any kid that responded with anything other than "go fuck yourself" is expelled right now.
I just. Yeah, I know that's so unbelievably weak. But I guess I don't know. He's
I'm gonna
one of these
click
guys.
back.
Like he's a midwit that he thinks he's smart because he got a degree. He doesn't know that he's not too smart.
Do you think reverse racism is real? What do you think? Or like reverse discrimination?
Could you give me like an example?
Yeah. So like,
I think that racism is real. I don't know if you can really reverse it. It's just racism. It's just racism.
like for example, like if like a black person being racist towards a white person, basically.
I mean, yeah, racism. Either way, I feel like it goes both ways.
You're somehow
Do you
wrong.
think like black people could be racist, or like people of color could be racist towards white people?
Yeah, of course. I think anybody can be racist towards anyone.
Have you ever seen like an instance of that happening before?
I just hatched out of my egg.
I mean,
can you name any time?
You know,
where-
like outright. Like from my personal experience, probably no. I can't like recall anything like that. No.
Have you ever seen like an example of that before?
I'm not usually super up to date on this kind of stuff. I mean, if somebody is being racist, I think it should stop. But
Okay, cool. Next question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Is the point of this? So is the point of that like if if it doesn't happen, that means it can't conceptually be a thing? Because that seems to be what he's trying to say. He's like, do you think reverse racism, which is a stupid, like, no, it's just racism.
Yeah.
White isn't a reverse race. It's a
Yeah.
race. So it's just racism. So quit calling it that. You're trying to call it that to make it sound stupid inherently. But at any rate, he's trying to make the argument that you can't be racist against white people. And he's acting like because they can't name an example, that means conceptually it doesn't exist. Because I can't really think of examples of people being racist against me for being white. That doesn't mean that people cannot be racist against me for being white. I can think of examples in real life of people being racist against white people. I mean, Brett Weinstein comes to mind. He was shouted off campus for showing up on No White People Allowed Day to his job.
Yeah. I wanted to look at some of the comments on it to see like what they thought the dunking was going on, and
Yeah, that's not dunking.
this here it says this is on the one where he asked them all the pronouns. So the normal ones, so they them is exactly what I was thinking.
No, it wasn't what you were
Comments
thinking.
back exclamation points.
No, what you were thinking when he said the normal ones, because your mind thinks things before you can really process that it has thought things, was he, him. Because you looked at that dude and you're like, that's a male, he, him. You knew that.
The cool always gets me. It's such a subtle burn. Har har har. He comments back. Oh, tears laughing. Har 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 har. Why do people get so aggro over this question? I didn't see them get aggro over the question. Literally so mad for real. Laughing my ass off. I think it'd be interesting. She's going to be considering that for a minute. First child is very fragile. Like, look at, like, they're posting this like it's some sort of, like, all of them just answering that. I'm a he, him, I, him. We stopped. This is the thing I brought up forever ago and got told I was, Flip and I almost got booted off like an ex-Mormon thing. We stopped hiring BYU students.
You know, like bigots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard of normal person love learning new neo-pronouns. You've never
Never
okay,
heard
hatchling again. You've never heard of normal person?
What's the normal person?
The work you do is incredible, and your patience is too. What? I love seeing the progress. That's the end goal of the page, so it's awesome to see it make a difference. Cool. I love this guy. It's a fun game to play. Will they be as insecure as they look? So they're just trying to see if they can catch them being insecure and asking them the question. First guy's voice shaking so much. OMG, LOL.
What are you talking about?
It's desperation. That guy was shaken in the same way that Donald Trump called white supremacist Nazis. He just imagined it, and now it's
I was
true.
informed today when I was talking. I'm talking to the liberal guy at work, and he's telling me how like it's ridiculous that these are our two options. So I was like, yeah, it is ridiculous. And he's like, and people trying to say that like Biden is incoherent, and I was like, he is. And he's like, oh, but you listen to Trump, he's just as incoherent. I was like, he's not. It's like, no, I could play you some examples. Okay, do it, because that's just wrong. This isn't a Trump's my guy type thing. I'm not gonna vote for him.
No, like if anybody tried to tell me that Obama was inarticulate, I'd be like, no, that's idiotic. No, the guy was a great speaker. You know, like there's something it's just reality denial. No, Trump is sharp. You know, he speaks in a way that we used to say, you know, president shouldn't talk.
You think it's
maybe we should go back to that? I wouldn't mind.
Here's the same stoic dude on another one.
it lacks integrity to drink alcohol?
Yes.
Why do you think so?
Right? You're forfeiting your agency. You
To
lose
who?
your ability to think to yourself.
Have you ever drank alcohol?
Me? Never.
So how do you know you lose your agency?
Have you taken a look at any statistics whatsoever? Look at the
God, this
numbers,
guy's
man.
awesome.
Take a look. You think people would crash on their own? No,
Yes,
never.
every day. People crash every
Oh my
single
God,
day.
are you
They
retarded?
do, but you need to look at some data here, okay? The data is incredible on how much more intoxicated driving has, and sleep-deprived driving on that note too. over sane and fully thought out driving.
Sure.
Okay.
So what about in normal instances when you're not driving a car, right? I would agree with you. Drinking driving is horrible. I would
It
obviously
leads
agree
to
with
terrible
that.
decisions. It leads to births out of wedlock. It's horrible, and it's one of the reasons why we are in the desolative state today.
You think so?
Yes, of course.
You don't think it has to do with anything else?
Oh well, there's many factors. That's one of them.
But you think alcohol is like top? You think it lacks integrity to drink alcohol?
Yes.
Dude, he's backpedaling so bad.
Right?
That kid's owning you, dude.
That kid is kicking your ass. That kid's awesome. The only thing I would say differently there is like it's fucking poison, man. Okay, like I like drinking
Yeah.
alcohol. I'm drinking alcohol right now,
Yeah.
but I would be better if I never drank alcohol. Like it's clearly better for my body.
Yeah.
So I guess you can just ask
What
people
is-
questions
what
to
is
make a
carbon
point. So
That's a hatchling thing. That's just like the whole. That's just as stupid as when somebody says that tastes like shit. They say, "How do you know what shit tastes like?" Do you know shit tastes bad? How do you know shit tastes bad? Because I know, actually. Like, and we all know that's a joke. We all just
Well,
take it for granted
yeah.
that that's a joke. But
John
asking somebody
learned-
like, you've never drank alcohol and you still know somehow, how would you know that drinking alcohol isn't good for you? Are you retarded?
John learned that asking questions is more persuasive than just telling people that they kill trans kids with their suicide stuff, which I'm sure he'll never do again. Like,
I
what's the
know.
countdown until he does that again? Like this week, he'll do it again this week. Here's a way to ask some questions.
What is carbon dioxide?
I went to high school, but that's carbon dioxide is a gas.
Okay.
I'm not a professional to talk about.
Wait, who
carbon
is
dioxide
this?
so much? But
Well, you want
They had this kid talk about climate change in a Senate hearing today.
How do you go to
This
high
was
school?
today?
Yeah.
How do you go to high school and not know what carbon dioxide is?
Right.
no, there's always going to be carbon dioxide.
Right. So what is it you want us to do? Let me back up because I want to. I mean, you're here as an expert. Tell me more about what carbon dioxide is.
I'm here as an expert cross-country skier who sees the changes in my winters and the landscape that I live in Alaska. And so carbon dioxide is what I see it as is, it's a gas that exists in our atmosphere. And
What, is it the major part of our atmosphere? Or?
it's a huge part of our atmosphere, yes.
It's actually a very small part of our atmosphere.
No, don't go to
Well,
stats.
okay.
Don't go to data.
But yeah, I don't know. What are you asking specifically?
Well, you say we need to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. I'd like to know first if you know what it is. You want us to abolish fossil fuels?
I never said that.
You never have said that?
No.
Okay. What do you think we ought to do with fossil fuels?
What will we do with fossil fuels?
Yeah. Should we make any changes?
I would like to see a decrease in the use of fossil fuels. I think there's a possibility to use more electric generation.
Okay. Over what period of time? 10 years, 50 years, 100 years?
That's not, I would like to see it come as fast as possible while continuing.
How fast?
Sorry?
How fast?
I don't have a
You
good
don't
answer
know?
for that. No.
Okay. You just think, well, how much will it cost for us to become carbon neutral in the
Yeah, I'm gonna add in the cools after each one.
United States by 2050?
I'm not a professional on that. I don't have.
You don't have any idea?
No.
You just think we ought to spend the money?
Cool.
I'm not an economist.
Cool.
But it's going to cost money. You realize that?
Yeah, but we've also talked about the trade-off of what the cost of climate change as emergencies will cost in the future also. So
Right. But it's going to cost trillions of dollars to become carbon neutral by 2050, right?
I do not know.
You don't know. You just think we ought to do it.
I don't have a great answer for you, but I think I would.
If we spent those trillions of dollars and became carbon neutral by 2050 in the United States, would you advocate? How much will it reduce world temperatures?
I don't have an answer for that.
You don't know?
No.
You just think we ought to spend the money and then see what happens?
Cuckoo.
I think as an athlete, I think if we spend that money and invest in our future, hopefully those temperatures stop rising, and maybe the snow at least stabilizes where it is for me.
Hopefully.
But yeah, I don't think anyone knows for sure. I don't know.
So John DeLynn, the asking questions works, right? They use it.
That's also such a funny realization to come to. Yeah, I've actually found that screaming homophobe at people doesn't actually effectively change their mind. Oh, when did you figure that out, John? Because you hadn't figured it out by the time Rod Meldrum was on your podcast.
Mm. Salt Lake Tribune, BYU doesn't have to play on Sundays, so should the NCAA better accommodate Muslim athletes during Ramadan? Cool.
How?
Good question. They were just asking questions.
Like just not play any games during Ramadan?
Everybody's just asking questions, Jared. It's just questions. That's what we're doing here. Everything's stupid. It's still pretty stupid. Did you see Don Lemon interview Elon Musk?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, that was terrible.
This was like an actual exchange from a guy
So
recreated.
you said that people are dying because they're lowering standards for surgeons. No, I said people are going to die if they lower standards for surgeons. Where's your proof that this is happening right now? I didn't say it's happening right now. I said it's going to happen. I haven't found any data that says this is happening. I didn't say it's happening. I said it's going to happen. I don't understand why you would say it's happening if you can't prove it. I said it's going to happen, not it is happening.
I'm not political, but these facts.
Yeah.
No, that one was pretty bad, especially the he really thought he got him. And a lot of people thought he got him too. Like the questions about censorship. He told him you like censorship. And I was like, no, I don't. And he kept saying, yeah, you do. and he kept asking, like, do you not think that you should limit racist speech? And he said, if it's illegal, we'll limit it. And he's like, so like if somebody puts child porn on there, he's like, well, that's illegal. So we would get it off.
Yeah. No, it makes no sense. But black menaces suck. I have Stossel talking about the Supreme Court and free speech. We already kind of covered that, though. Do you want to see? Well, I guess always got a whole math if it's getting dull. But
I love math. I also got my first chapter of Foucault.
Oh yeah, and we still need to do. You want to do a degenerate book club corner?
It's I mean, I got it for the. It's bizarre.
Everybody was sharing this week that wokeness was found to be a form of woke people are more likely to be unhappy, anxious, depressed. New study suggests. Oh no, studies.
Well, they're more likely to scream at me. That's for sure.
Let's do degenerate book club.
All right. So I was looking for a new degenerate book. And so I went to Audible and I selected the free with your subscription thing. And then I just put in the word queer. And one of the first examples I saw was, what's it called? Michel Foucault's Human Sexuality, right? Or
I bet it would have come up if you typed in degenerate too.
Probably would have. Anyway, like I only read one chapter of it so far, but it's fucking absurd. He's a meme of himself. Like if you knew as much before I've read any Foucault, if you knew as much about him as I did, you would joke about him being a pedophile. And then you read him and you're like, oh fuck. Like he immediately just starts going, did you guys know that most of human history, you could just like fuck around kids? Like you didn't have to go to your bedroom. You could just be plowing your wife's girlfriend, and like your kid would be there laughing, running around also naked. Everyone's fucking it. It's a giant fuck pile. And he told us like it's the worst thing that ever happened. Like, and then the oppressors came. And since the oppressors came, you cannot any longer fuck in front of children, and children can't fuck anyone either. And it's just I swear to God, he was sobbing while he wrote this. If you look at his notes, there were probably tear stains on the page. But that was the entire first chapter. Was him saying that, oh man, we used to be so liberated and awesome, and just be in a giant fuck pile with kids running around. And now we're not, because we're terrible.
Now life sucks.
And then he does finish the chapter by saying, no, I'm not saying that I'm not actually saying all the stuff I just said. I'm not actually saying that we were a giant fuck pile during those times. But I am saying that we were. And that was chapter 1. And
Lisa, who's to say what's to say? Well, I've read enough Foucault. I've read a lot of Foucault. To tell you that just goes on and 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 on. And then it ends up with who's to say, what's to say? But how could you question it all? Me wanting to point kids now.
I know. Anyway, I'm going to take a break from this for a minute. I got to go pen my petition to the French government to abolish the age of consent, because it is oppressive. There are a bunch of 12-year-olds that are just stark raving mad that they don't get some of this Michel Foucault cock.
So what stinks about it is, like, Michael Schellenberger writes about it, as I said before, in San Francisco, that he says, like, literally everybody in the San Francisco government actually reads and buys into Foucault. And part of what they look at is he did the same book about prison stuff. And it was all just going through history, which is history's always dubious if it's looked at by real historians, and saying, we used to imprison people for this and for that and for this and for that. And maybe people in prison are just living differently. And you actually kind of, if you get attuned to hearing it enough, you heard it come out in Bokovoy.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's Bokovoy right there.
Yeah, they start talking about, like, who's this? I mean, they just have different, like, life experiences, and some stuff goes bad, but maybe they live differently, do differently. And then they even, like, go so far as, like, justifying homeless people, or stuff like taking over the houses is one of the big things that was coming up, the squatters and the squatters' rights and stuff. You're saying, well, who even, like, sets the rules of what the stuff is? Who's to say? What's to say? Who's to say? I mean, they're just living differently and doing their life differently. Why? How is that criminal? If you looked at the Mesopotamians in 1862, I'm just pulling this out my ass. If people took over an unoccupied house, that was considered a conquest, and it was their right to take it over, and who's to say what to say? And maybe if somebody just gets drunk and drugged up in the park all the time, that's just their way of manifesting their being in the world. I mean, they don't even have free will to do it or not. Who's to say? Let me point kids. Let me point kids. And that's Foucault in a nutshell. And everybody bought this.
He always turns it around, though. He always turns it around into, why won't you let kids boink me? That's his whole shtick, is being like, okay, obviously we know it's oppressive of you to not let me boink kids, but did you know it's also oppressive to the kid? Because
we know they want it.
Want to bang Michel Foucault.
There's this story called, like,
them.
The Curdled Milk Game, where he talked about, like, an older man raping a younger girl in an old village, and they called it the Curdled Milk Game. And under, like, a different understanding of the village at some time, just maybe some little game off of the side of the road in a ditch called Curdled Milk is just a game that's played in a small town. And why did we have to bring in the government and law enforcement into the middle of this? Like, well, like, what? How? That's just how people were and had been for centuries and ages since that the whole way. And what's the big dang deal? It's the Curdled Milk Game. And it gets, like, a little bit hurly boy, like, well, what's the big deal? I just want to play the Curdled. We've been playing the Curdled Milk Game with these girls, little girls for centuries, man. I mean,
everybody becomes suddenly very libertarian when it involves their specific brand of degeneracy.
Yeah.
They're like, hang on a second here. Just because someone wants to, like, invert their kid's dick, like, who are you to stop them from doing it? You want government to come in and say,
McClellan does this,
kids, and I can't rip off, like, little girls' tits. It's like, actually, yeah, I do. Like, I'm pretty libertarian, but I understand that there's a place for a state, because a state will exist whether or not we want it to. And I say,
always when it comes to kids is where, like, you lose the
childhood assault I'm very, very comfortable with the government coming in and stopping you from boinking kids or
Yeah.
from mutilating them.
Um,
And I love I always love to be like, oh, well, how come you never bring up how come it never bothers you when underage girls get boob jobs? I was like, okay, first,
Yeah.
we weren't talking about that. It does bother me a lot.
Yeah. It's always bothered me. I've always thought that was
you
creepy.
don't seem bothered by circumcision. I'm very bothered by circumcision. You just assumed that about me because you are such a caricature of a person that all of your views can be categorized by looking at the color of your hair. And you assume everybody else is like that.
Yeah. So there was another thing with Foucault, because like a bunch of people actually called out his history and said that he was just making a bunch of crap up. And he says, but all history is made up. Like, and he just openly said this. All history is made up. So what's it matter if I make it up? Because even the real history is just made up history too.
Just when I do it, it's cool. That's all.
Yeah.
When
Because
I
I'm
do it,
doing
we all
it.
get to boink kids.
Here's the Dan McClellan out for everything. That's the leftist way out of everything. But I'm doing it for social good, social justice reasons. Like, so as soon as I announce that I am a saint and a missionary for that, anything I do is excusable because
He's just so obviously evil. Foucault. My God, he's terrible.
obviously evil and obviously head and shoulders above all the rest as far as being the number one sided academic and the person who steered almost all academia, especially the humanities, over the past 50 years, without a doubt, which should just kind of give everybody like a general idea of like the horse shit that we're in. Here, look at this. Oh, are you do you want to wrap up the
that's all I got. I only read one chapter, and it was he just comes right out the gate talking about boinking kids. Well, about kids watching you boink.
Flip, is there any booze to know about in the world?
Earlier somebody was asking me what I was drinking. It's just stout, just regular old Irish beer. I only have one news before you do home math and wrap it up, if that's what we're doing.
Yeah, tell me why a beer's Irish.
Well, I mean, because it's Guinness. That's what I'm drinking. That's what makes Irish
It's just
beer
where it's
Irish.
from. There's no like a type of Irish.
I think Irish beer and English beer is pretty similar in style. Yeah, a lot of the same tradition and culture there.
Something about German beers, like usually drink warm. So I might sound like a hatchling when it comes to alcohol stuff, and I'm asking hatchling questions, and I'm gonna say cool after each thing you say because I'm trying to catch you. But I really am kind of don't know a ton about the alcohol stuff. What's the deal with like German beers supposedly supposed to be drunk warm? Is that true?
I've never been to Germany. I've heard
Sake
most
is, right?
sake can be every way. Like
Oh, really?
sake is good all the ways. But what I've heard is that most Germans drink their beer cold. And that that's not really the case, that anybody there drinks a lot of warm beer. Like one thing I noticed in the UK that they didn't serve the beer as cold as Americans do, but it was still cold.
Troy says it needs a music part.
Oh.
Whiskey and wine. Whiskey and wine.
Yeah.
Good now.
Yeah, Ireland is obviously way more famous for the whiskey side of things.
Did you tell him which one? Risk was asking which beer you were drinking.
Guinness. Just plain old Guinness.
Plain
I thought
old
about
Guinness.
going to get wine, and then I decided to take it kind of easy.
I do not know that I've ever tried a Guinness, honestly. I've never tried a dark beer.
Well, Guinness is one of the best things ever.
Reese says, historically speaking, Christianity was a total buzzkill. Wow. Get it on tap. All right, now you guys know your booze for the week. John DeLynn warned you about using too much booze on the Bokovoy show too. It's about balance, guys. It's about balance.
Yeah, but then
Except for the
then the
patriarch,
Black
all the way the
Menaces.
other direction.
The Black Menaces taught me that why would there be anything wrong with drinking alcohol?
Oh yeah, I guess that's true too. Dang, what do we do? I guess we turn to that one kid who told the Black Menaces we're gonna cause car wrecks, man. Cuckoo. Time for some home.
Oh wait, before you do home math, because we want to wrap up with home math because it's good. Our best content is content we steal from home math. No, but this week I finally, for the first time ever, watched, and I can't believe I waited so long. I finally watched Hidden Fortress, the Kurosawa, from
How's
the one
that?
that. It's
I've been watching the
so
Shogun.
great. It's such a great movie. I'm just like, because watching this movie from 1958, it makes me mad for so many reasons. Like, just because I watch movies now, and they're just so bad. Like, and everything about them is bad. And then I watch Hidden Fortress, and everything about it is good. And like, it's just the nuttiness of it all. Because like early on in the movie, I'm thinking like, wow, that is a hell of a painting. And then I realized that the clouds are moving behind the mountain peaks. And I'm like, oh wait, no, that's right. This is all like just shot real and practical and stuff. And then also when I think about like, because they say, oh, this was a big influence for George Lucas, like you can totally see it. And it's funny because like a lot of people mentioned that like some of the plot points are really obvious in Star Wars 1977, but then some of them get resurrected in Phantom Menace. And it's just so weird because it's like, okay, so this movie was such a big influence for you, George Lucas. Then like, why did you shoot Phantom Menace on tiny little green screens? Because like everything, like in this movie, the bigness, because like so much of it takes place outdoors, and like
I
just the
really noticed
hugeness of
that. I think I talked about it before. Like I saw the film about James Cromwell, and then I saw Zulu and all that stuff, and just seeing great big open fields with actual people out on them just blows my mind nowadays.
Yeah.
And I would have been so bored with that when I was a kid, and now it's like just that's an actual spectacle to me now. And they're not like those ones. I don't even think were the greatest of movies. I know that the English love that Zulu movie, but I'm just saying like it's not stuff like I'd want to watch again and again. But I was just mesmerized by the giant open spaces.
I think that the story of human cinema is actually a beautiful one. If we all die soon, the alien civilization that finds us, they'll put in their history books about Earth that human cinematography peaked. Like it got better and better and better. And then in 2000, 2001, and 2 and 3 or whatever it was, The Lord of the Rings was made. And that was the end. Like that was, it's where we got the best with practical effects and fealty to the source material and shit like that. And then they'll ignore the next couple decades until we died.
The other thing I thought was weird about the Hidden Fortress Star Wars connection, because like, you can tell like, because there's the scene with, there's all the bad guy clan and, they're all marching with their sticks and they've got their hats and it's like, oh, and you can see like the stormtroopers. But then there's like this thing where there's a whole bunch of like stormtrooper guys and they're walking along like this causeway bridge thing, but it has rails. So I know that George Lucas didn't take that as any kind of inspiration because he never put guardrails up on anything. So that was obviously something else.
Where did you catch it?
It's on HBO.
It just looks cooler without guardrails.
Gotta watch it.
Like I pictured in my head, because I thought when I was a kid, I was like, man, these set pieces look so damn cool. And then when I get a little bit older, I'm like, oh man, there's a lot of OSHA violations here. Nobody's wearing a harness or anything like that. And then I'm like, okay, I'm picturing it with like safety rails. I'm like, that'd be fucking gay.
Yeah, that was something else with this movie. Was like the disregard for safety. Like somebody they say, like, yeah, there's like the things like there's a couple of scenes where like the actors are like climbing up like this mountainside and they're slipping, and like one of them like slips and tumbles, and like I don't think it was choreographed. I think he just falls, and Kurosawa just whatever they do, follow him with the camera. Like, yeah. Just incredible.
Have you guys ever watched like highlights of Jackie Chan movies before, like the ones that were just made in China?
No. Oh no.
You got to go through that because I mean it's insane how much more insane the stunts were when he was in China before he came here. He just did out of control stuff that you just can't believe he did.
Damn.
stuff that would just never be allowed to be made here.
Yeah.
Risu noticed that Foucault thought his dad was a stern bully, and that all could have been daddy issues, and I think that's totally true.
Daddy, why don't you and mom have sex in front of me? Michelle, you are an 18-year-old boy.
I need to see Lawrence of Arabia.
I have never
that one.
seen you smash mother's puss in front of me. Why is that? Oh, that devolved into German.
I've been watching that.
Just imagine Michelle's parents like, I can't wait until he goes to college and gets rid of these terrible ideas.
I've been watching that Shogun show. It's not bad so far. I've only seen like 2 episodes of it. Yeah, I
saw the first 2 episodes. It was pretty good.
Oh
I
wait,
did see. I
didn't
saw.
know.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted them to. I was bummed out because they were talking about like in when it's just Japanese people, they all speak Japanese, which is a cool touch. I like that. But then once
the Portuguese and the English all
yeah. As soon as everything else is English, which is I get it. I'm not. It's less of a criticism and more of a like me being like, oh man, I wanted them to speak Portuguese a little bit. It'd be cool, but it's all good.
Yeah. What was the meaning behind your names? Flip was a mission survivor. Is that just that you survived the mission and now you're a trauma?
I didn't even watch what you guys were
trauma-based
talking about.
therapy.
Somebody did the whole thing about missions are high demand. Like yep.
It was
through your trauma-based therapy. My nephew got a mission call this week. He's going to the Philippines.
Which mission do you remember?
Ologongo.
Olopongo?
Something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ilopongo?
He read his thing and he said he will be speaking in the Tagalog language.
Tagalog.
And Jared was low-key human trafficking victim. Oh, because of the mission too.
Yeah, that was Zelf. So they were talking about missions, and they all 3 of them agreed that missions are low-key human trafficking because well, they wait until you're an adult so that you can consent, but you're still a kid, really. Like obviously you're still a kid. And
it does blow my mind. My nephew got his call. He's still in high school right now with a couple months to graduate, and he's 17. Like that hurts my head a little bit.
That is pretty nuts.
Yeah,
that's weird. Yeah.
But at the same time, too, there was no bigger waste of a year of my life than the year I had to wait because I was a youngster.
I did too.
Stupid year.
Yeah, I graduated when I was 17 and just kind of sat around doing nothing.
Yeah, it was a waste. Risto, do you know where Lawrence of Arabia is? Is it streaming anywhere? Anyway, let's do a homo. I found this guy who does diss track rapping against comedians.
Do you think guys have always had 5 to 10 girlfriends at the same time and we're just now noticing because of social media? Or is that like a new thing that we're just supposed to get on board with?
It depends
You're
which
dating shitheads.
This is more recent in our history, and this is farther back. But if you don't like this model of guys having 5 to 10 girlfriends, either because they're attractive or because they have money and power, then you shouldn't be posting videos like this, because that is a big part of what has moved us from a regulated economy where people tend to match 1-to-1 over to an unregulated economy where the strongest man just wins all the options. In nature, only the strong survive. Males have to fight for access to females. So in nature, the stronger males get more females, like is happening to us now. Walruses are famous for this. They average 1 male to 23 females. And when we used to live in nature, we would do that too. But this was really unpleasant for everybody except the top males. None of
Foucault thought it was great.
the women are happy.
Did it in front of their kids, anyway.
They have to share men, and these guys are really not happy. So we came up with enforced monogamy, which is based on things like shame and rules, and that helps keep people paired 1-to-1 rather than
That's
just
why
getting
Jordan Peterson's
everything that
evil.
they can get unrestricted. So in an enforced monogamy culture, you would typically be discouraged from advertising yourself to a wide audience and getting loads and loads of responses and then offering your attention only to your favorite ones, because we knew in advance that when you do that, and her and her and her, that you all tend to respond to the same few guys in your inbox, but it doesn't work the other way around. Powerful men have always collected women throughout history. Solomon from the Bible is said to have had 700 wives and 300 concubines. There's your vocabulary word for the day. In the story Scheherazade, the king would behead his new wife every day and get a new one, so we're familiar with this kind of behavior. So when you say, is this new or has it always happened, it's kind of both. This is what happens when you don't have rules to stop it from happening. So yeah, we used to be more like this just 10 or 20 years ago, but now that we all have these little rule avoiders, it looks like we're stuck like this until we can either figure something out or until you guys stop doing this.
Well, that was one.
God, that's great stuff.
Can I watch it on the
just
big
a
screen? He's gonna post it in Longhouse. I could, yeah, I could get it on the big screen, depending on where it is. I'll figure out. I'll watch the Lawrence of Arabia this week and report. Put down my Curb Your Enthusiasm. I've been saying for a while, if I pound Curb Your Enthusiasm too much, and it makes me a bad person, because after a while you watch him like go confront people on all these little petty things, and then you find yourself starting to confront people on petty things all the time. Like I'm more likely to bitch out the guy who gets next to me on the treadmill after watching 10 Larry Davids in a row than if I didn't. Yeah, I guess that is a good thing, but more likely to cause problems in the world too. But I don't know.
It's weird that you're worried about causing problems, because like you would think that since we live in the patriarchy, it's women who are told that they ought not take up space. So just listen to your patriarchal conditioning. The world is yours. You think you're superior. That's actually something I was curious about. That what's that guy's name that was on Voice, the ex-Mormon analrapist? Anyway, he was talking.
Neil.
Yeah, he was talking about one of the things they found in their study is like groups like Mormons have sort of a sense of superiority. Did you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe just like in the sense of we got the true one.
I mean, I thought we had the true one, but
yeah, like no, that the idea that we were better people, no. Like we're fortunate, we're blessed that we know the truth. Like that's, but like, yeah, we are superior. No,
We were lucky that we had the truth. I mean, that is one of the things that's brought up a whole lot in the Dole Sunday School. Here's Scott Adams' updated hoax list. Updated the hoax quiz. How many of these hoaxes do you still believe are true? Russia collusion hoax, Steele dossier, hooker story, Russia playing bounties on U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan, Trump called neo-Nazis fine people, Trump suggesting drinking, injecting bleach to fight COVID, Trump overfed koi fish in Japan, Trump cleared protesters with tear gas for a Bible photo op, Hunter's laptop was Russian disinformation, elections were fair because no court found major fraud, January 6th was an insurrection to overthrow the government, Trump tried to grab the steering wheel of the beast, Border Patrol agents whipped illegal border crossers, Trump stored nuclear secrets at Mar-a-Lago, Governor Whitmer kidnapping plot, Trump mocked a reporter's disability, government spending to subsidize green products reduces inflation, Trump invited Nick Fuentes to dinner at Mar-a-Lago, Twittergate was a dud. The thing is, like, I can see Dan McClellan arguing against every single one of these.
Yep.
Twittergate was a dud. We learned nothing new or worrisome. Twitter doesn't shadow ban. Twitter hate speech got worse under Musk. Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd. NATO funding hoax. Trump vowed there would be a bloodbath if he's not reelected. Russia hoax is broken down, which he's just done. He done like a list of Russian hoaxes just alone. But don't bring up any of those facts to John DeLynn. Just ask him questions about it. That will persuade him differently. I don't know. The list is endless, but what you can do?
Damn.
Here, here's a diss track against Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer.
This is it. Man, these fat motherfuckers ain't funny. They ain't giving nothing, all they do is take money. And it's so gay, they getting paid. That's why I'm putting 2 beds in 1 grave. And you can never dig them. Bitch, I'ma hit them up. Gotta get back to the money. Got millions, I stick them up. You might stack a lot of money, but your soul ain't getting saved. Hey, it's 2 beds, 1 grave. Follow Rogan like some faggoty bitches. Pretty sad that we magically some raggedy dick quiz, careers tragically slipping, and that's why McAfee see you and act dramatically different. It's actually fitting, your reputation drastically shifted. Something's burning. I think you got too many hacks in the kitchen. When I break my foot off in your ass, you gonna be practically shitting and pissing and wishing.
I think it's so funny, like, cause somebody just like spends their time making diss tracks on comedians.
But he's good at it too. Like, he's actually a good rapper. Send me a link to that one.
Yeah.
I'll crack Amico. I'll find it.
He's got a bunch of different ones. Yeah, it's Crack Amico, which is a comedian named Zach Amico. The thing is, like, he obviously follows all these comedians like a whole lot. He knows a bunch about all of them all.
Oh yeah.
But that's cracked me up. Anyway, I don't even think I got no nothing else. I mean, there was
No
some
autistic hero this week.
no real. I mean, that guy kind of was like that guy makes rap videos against.
That is pretty
people.
autistic.
You could watch the Mormon rapping kid. Oh, here it is. I got a clip of. Oh yeah, here's some rap. We'll just do some rap. It's the rap moment for Porch Time.
Mm-hmm.
These guys covered a rapping kid, and I just wanted to cover the excitement. Like, look.
So he's a certain. I mean, he's
what?
Yeah.
Oh, wicked!
Yeah. So this is
wicked!
doctrine. He's.
I just clipped that part out.
So he's a certain.
Just such an example.
Oh wait, he didn't even. That was before he even watched any of the rap, wasn't it? That Jonah just told him he's a rapper.
Oh, wicked!
Where's the rap? Let's see if we.
I don't know. It's Christian rap, so it's probably fucking terrible, right? I mean, I'm rooting for you, kid.
Who's a rapping missionary?
Whoa!
This is gonna be the best.
Lord had people.
Where's his rap, man?
Is he live
on his rap on it?
Account? Just
everybody.
Oh, this was a. Okay, all right. So,
where's the rap?
Whoever to be put, we're dying on the vine here. His own with.
Look how excited they are.
Rap
they
of half a heart.
Rap?
Yeah.
I think they do, but like the problem is you got just Cardin and Jonah,
Here he is.
they're the ones most likely to interrupt whatever is happening with
The doctrine of Christ. What's that? I asked. They said that is a real good question. We'll explain it via rap. It consists of faith in Jesus Christ and in his atonement. What it did for us made the heavens open. Repenting it is basically a change of heart. It is turning your will to God. It's a fresh start. Then it's baptism by immersion in the water. Following what Christ did when he pleased his Father. Then laying on the hands to receive a gift. The Holy Ghost will be there for you through thick and thin. The doctrine of Christ. What's that? I asked.
So that kid, that's actually considered his mission. Did you know that?
Yeah, no, I got it.
He's on the rapping mission?
Yeah. He's on
not-
a mission and he's allowed to put out rap videos as part of his mission.
He's not all that bad. I think it's just the production quality isn't great.
Oh, and then also it's wild that there's rapping missionaries nowadays. Here's some rapping missionaries.
Watch Hillary examine the terrain. Watch a campaign with the man Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine in the memory.
Oh my
in the brain. Number 4.
Hillary makes each decision, looking at the world from a rarefied position.
Which is more cringe, the missionary rapper or this?
Oh, well, the missionary rapper actually has some amount of talent Like this
Yeah.
is if a teacher, like a school teacher, was like, I want to. If I tried to write a rap, it would sound like that quality, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, like, and I also
fucking
like
these
I
guys. I don't know who
basically
these two
agree.
are, but they
That's
definitely wrote a
Lin-Manuel
rap
Miranda.
about COVID. Who?
You know Lin-Manuel Miranda, right?
No.
Hamilton. That's Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
That's the Hamilton rapper. I love the joke that Saturday Night Live actually made about him. They said NPR's favorite rapper 5 years in a row. Yeah. He made all the Hamilton raps. He's actually funny on Curb Your Enthusiasm because he kind of like plays up the thing of like being an extra dick on that. But
Servant with tenacity, you just
he also does like all the music for Moana and
Oh, does he?
yeah, he does like almost all the Disney music now. And he also did the music for the new Mary Poppins, and he played the chimney sweep in the new Mary Poppins.
Damn. See, I'm not like a big Disney buff, but the music from Moana was pretty good.
I like the crab song. That was a good
It
one.
was. Well, that was Jermaine, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean like the main one. So like the main Moana song was pretty good. It was a lot better than Let It Go.
Yeah. You're welcome. No, I was kidding. It's the other one. The
experience.
That was great, and they were all better than that. Fucking what was that? The pressure one from. I don't remember the name of that movie. I think.
Oh,
it takes
the one of the like the Colombians in the house.
Are they Colombians? I couldn't remember where it took
Yeah,
place. Yeah,
the girls who are under so much pressure to perform.
under pressure.
Yeah,
I
and the other
hated
girls,
that song.
the other girl who has new superpowers. It turns out her superpower is empathy.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, her superpower is empathy.
And contact. Yeah, I've never seen the movie actually, so I don't know.
That's the greatest superpower of them all. I think it's interesting that the comment on this is from Richard Hanania, who's actually a left-leaning guy, but he also says this is the cultural synthesis that Trump rescued us from.
You can never tell who.
Now we all know this is the time when the other side tries to fly low, we go high. We know that
that whole shit, that Michelle Obama shit, they go low, we go high stuff. Like, what sort of lying to yourself was that ever? Really?
Side tries to fly low, we go high. We know that our Hillary's no quitter. We watch as her opponent sits and fiddles with his Twitter. Confession time, all in the.
This is more cringe and more missionary than the rapping Mormon missionary.
Yeah, this is
For
some
sure.
Christian rap, if I've ever heard it.
100%.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming you've heard my favorite Christian rap song, right?
The Mormon rap.
No,
Do you remember the Mormon rap?
sure-
You weren't even around for the Mormon rap in the 80s, were you?
No, hang on. I'm sure you've seen this. Let me send it.
Hold on a second. This is a clip of Dan McClellan reacting to the Hillary rap.
So he's he's an official service missionary.
Wicked.
This is
Okay, I'm positive that everyone has seen this. It's got 89 million views. It's just amazing. It's the quality of rap that was there, though. I sent it in the group chat.
Oh gosh, does this? I do know this one, but I don't know if I can play this one for the words that are used in it.
You can play it. It hasn't been demonetized
It
itself.
won't
I don't
notice?
think. I don't
Okay.
think so.
We all know this one.
You know this one, Flip? I'm sure you do.
Well, I wrote this song for the Christian youth. I want to teach kids the Christian truth. If you want to reach those kids on the street, then you got to do a rap to a hip-hop beat. So I gave my sermon an urban kick. My rhymes are fly, my beats are sick. My crew is big and it keeps getting bigger. That's because Jesus Christ is my nigga.
I never ever get tired of it. God, it's amazing.
He's a life
This thing
changer,
wasn't
miracle arranger,
ironic
born
at
to the
all.
virgin
This, like,
mom
yeah,
in a
really
manger,
did it.
water to wine. He's
The
a
question was it a
miracle
hoax?
changer, and he died for your sins. I preach the
There's part of me that still thinks it was a hoax because
You think?
it gets stupider and stupider as it goes on. But I don't know. Everything I've heard
That's
is
really
that
spot
it was
on.
legit.
Check this one out. I love this song.
I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, performance, like they're really tight.
Oh yeah.
I guess it's probably the backtrack.
I mean, that guy's having the time of his life. The only one that's miserable is that fat backing singer. He hates his life.
So did you
But
know the Mormon rap, Jared?
No, I don't think
This
so.
was huge in the 80s. Like all the kids
Oh, yeah.
in my area knew this song.
I barely even remember the 90s, man.
When did it come out? Anybody know?
I don't remember this. There's no volume.
Who is that? You're not getting volume?
No,
Really?
I don't know why. No.
Try it again.
Are you okay? So sometimes those links like I do
Sometimes
right,
it takes
they'll just
a little
don't
bit
go.
for the volume to.
Now? Hearing it?
Well, give it a
You're not
second.
hearing that.
If
When-
it's,
I mean,
yeah,
when
if
the
it's
guy
making a
starts
noise
yelling.
Right now,
Risto says they proved it was a hoax. The rap on Jesus.
Oh, really?
okay.
Are you hearing this?
It looks like a hoax. No, we're not hearing anything.
You're not?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Okay.
God doesn't want you to
Yeah,
show
I'm
us
tired.
that.
1988.
Whoa. Should I try to share it?
Right? Yeah, it's not gonna make the sound, dude.
You're not getting that at all.
No, nothing. I think it's just impossible.
Why?
I don't know.
You guys you could try to share it. But anyway, it's a crappy song. It says Walter and Hayes band Mormon rap audio cassette. There's an audio cassette single that contains the song Mormon Rap, engineered by Glenn Neighbor and Kensworld Best Studio Audio in Salt Lake City. Crazy. Anyway,
Crazy.
this song sucked. It just sounded like every 80s rap song ever, but that's so weird that it wouldn't play. Well,
I'm excited
anyway.
to check it out.
Yeah, check it out. We actually listened to it, and you got it added. Let's see if yours works.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yours works.
Look at here. I got something to say. Hey, brothers and sisters, listen to me. I'm talking to you religiously. My Mormon rap will make you. I'm as funky as Donnie and Marie. When I go
I performed. I lip synced this at a road show.
I wish I could have seen old Brigham's face when he said, "Yeah, baby, this is the place." We're not ready. We got some important
Amazing job. Good Lord. Wow, that's awful.
You didn't ever come across that when you were young, Clue?
No.
I mean, it doesn't ring a bell. I must have. I know I must have, but
Carter's
I remember
one
I
of
was
those guys
raised
that,
by very
like,
nerdy people.
If you were like a rapper who was trying to hire a hype man and he applied for the job, you wouldn't give it to him because you'd be like, "Did you just overdo it?"
Too much, man.
Yeah.
Take it down now. Yeah.
You bring it back.
Oh my gosh, wicked sweet. Yeah. Well, what you gonna do? Well, I got nothing else.
Alrighty. I'm tired.
That was a party. There's gonna be more dumb stuff next week.
Yay!
Not be dumb.
I like dumb stuff. It's
You
cool.
do like it?
Fun. People are always dumb. Is Guitar Center open on Sundays?
Yeah.
Oh, flip!
Yeah.
I got my liquor store that I went to. They were kind enough to let me know that they're actually going to be closed on Easter Sunday.
Oh.
Oh,
They
that's the only
had a
time you're ever
sign.
closed. We're closed all the Sunday.
Yeah, so is ours.
Oh,
They had a sign up in the window that says, "We will be closed March 31st, Easter Sunday." And I second
all
guessed it for a
Idaho?
second. And I asked the guy, I was like, "But wait, aren't the sign?" He's like, "Yeah, we're always closed on Sunday. I don't know why the fuck they put it up." I was like, "Oh,
just making a point, I guess." But
It's
is
just some
all Idaho always
managerial-
closed Sunday?
As far as I know, yeah.
Statewide? I didn't know that.
I don't know if it's statewide,
they have state liquor stores.
we have state liquor stores. Yeah, I don't know if it.
But you can
changes
buy like
per
harder
county.
liquor in like the gas station in Idaho, can't you?
No.
Idaho's just like Utah?
No,
you can buy-
wine
it's
is
more
available.
than-
Liquor.
You can get.
I
you can
swear
get
we got
wine.
like I stopped at a place and the guy was with a bunch of like those extra hard, I don't know, like Red Bull drinks, not Red Bull, but you know.
Yeah, no. I think as long as it's
Talking
not
about
80
White
proof.
Claws?
Those don't exist and you can't get those at
Oh,
the
yeah,
gas station
so-
here.
I think it's like
And-
80 proof stuff that you can't get in.
Yeah,
like,
you can get wine. You can get those weird little like premixed cocktails in grocery stores and gas stations, but you can't get liquor.
So it's just a little different.
Yeah,
It's
a lot
it's a lot better here. I seriously, after we went to Jordan Peterson, I went across the street to the bar, and like the lady there's like, "Sorry, you got to order food," and I was like, "Yeah, I know how it works here." I thought I knew how it worked because
Dude,
last
that's
time
so
in
dumb.
Utah, I asked I was like, "Can I just get a double of whiskey?" And he's looked at me like I was a cop, and he's like, "Well, you can get a shot, but you can't get a double because doubles are illegal in Utah." And I was like, Jesus Christ. Okay. Give me 2. I'll do the math. Give me 2 shots. But then
have two at the same time.
there actually was a rule I wasn't aware of because I'm aware of a lot of the rules. Part of it's because I watch a lot of Bar Rescue and you see like we're in the state of Utah today and they have to have these special nozzles so they don't pour too much. But then the one I was never aware of, I'm standing at the bar sipping my drink, and I asked her for another drink, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll get you another drink." This sounds so stupid. I'm gonna have to ask you to like sit down though. You have to be. You can't be standing and drinking. I was like, "Who the fuck?" That is a dead mother if I've ever heard. Not her, but like the person. Let's be honest, the lady who made that law, fucking dead mother.
Here, share my screen for me real quick.
Have you seen this though? An iconic Utah gay bar is closed again and has surrendered its liquor license.
Which
the
one?
Sun Trap.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it
Well,
due to bigotry?
but why?
It definitely
Bigotry,
is.
probably.
It's definitely bigotry.
Risa has
Risa wants
tried
to
the
know.
long drink yet.
Yeah, here's I looked for the availability.
Oh, that what this is?
Yeah,
Not in Utah.
Not in Utah. So if Jared wants to bring us some down,
I was just talking to some
do
guys
that.
at my work this week, and I found out that they all drive to Wyoming to get like mailed in cigars because
Hey, next time I come down, if you remind me, I'll bring you some.
Yeah, I gotta
Yeah, it
remember
looks
that.
good. It's interesting. I like light barley soda type pops, Alka pops.
Wait, do you need?
Alrighty. Did
Alrighty,
we do all the
y'all.
things?
No stupid stuff, world.
Okay, keep it less stupid.
Less stupid. There'll be a bloodbath tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm
stop
talking
the
about
stupid,
the
there'll
violence.
be
The
a
violence.
bloodbath.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a dictator for hour 1 of work tomorrow.
You'll be a
Go
dictator.
to his house and commit a crime.
I predict a violence bloodbath, and you'll commit a crime. Cool.
All right.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Later, y'all.